to the show.
It started already? Or is this the test? I guess it started. Okay. Thank you.
Started.
Welcome. Which camera? There's a couple. Oh, that one's at you. This one's at me.
Yeah. And then we got that one in the center.
That one's at us both. Okay, cool. So I'll look at that one when I want to tell a story or direct it to somebody.
First and foremost, where did the name Lurker Lou come from?
That name came from many unwelcomed, uninvited stays in Boston when I was a kid, probably between like 15 and definitely was like locked in by 17. Dude, I would just like go to Boston on the weekends, get drunk, and fucking end up on this person's couch or that person's couch, or sometimes like go there in the winter, get there at 4, it gets dark, and no one's skating financial or no one. And I would just be like, I'd just straight up call Eli's mom sometimes, like, Joan, can I stay? Or like Eli had a cousin, this dude Jimmy, I would just like know where his back door key was and just like go there, and he like people would be like, you can stay here anytime and you're welcome anytime, Lou. And I like took advantage of that, and then it started to like, not like I didn't hear it like going around, but like the one time where I knew I blew it was with like Ben Colin and Joey Pepper and Sean Keenan's apartment. It was just like I woke up like wasted on a porch in Mission Hill at a fucking party and was like, fuck, dude, fuck, I don't know where to go. Well, everyone left, fuck. All right, so I'll go to Ben's and Joey's and I unlock it and fucking, or it was unlocked and I walk in, I passed out. Joey woke up in the morning, he was like, dude, you gotta ask to stay here, man. Like, you can stay here, just like ask. So then like a couple weeks went by and I was, Doug Brown, Brian Brown's older brother, had an apartment with these two dudes from Martha's Vineyard, Nick Briggs, this dude Brad, and they basically, we'd stay there all the time. It was like, it turned into like a little mini Mission Hill, like our skate house, kind of, like not like the other ones that were at Mission Hill at the time, like Waite Street or Darling Street. It was kind of like, they let us like kind of do whatever. These dudes from the Vineyard, my buddy Zeb Weissman was like always staying there. Andrew McGraw, Zared, everybody was always crashing at this spot. And it was right by this pizza place, Joseph's, on the back side of the hill. If anyone remembers that, we were always going to that dirty ass spot. So went skating. Fucking Brad Tucker and Nick Briggs went to Martha's Vineyard on Saturday. So Friday night I stayed there. Brad and Nick always greenlit my like crash out there on the weekends. And then I skated with Brian and Doug. And fucking, dude, it was late. It was like 11 or some shit. We got back to the apartment. It's just me, Brian, and Doug. And I pulled the like fucking, you know, you're on the couch and you're like, I did that. It's distinctly did that move. And Brian and Doug like looked down at me and they were like, yo, are you going to fucking ask to stay here? Or are you just going to fucking stay here? And I was like, I just figured like it was cool, like Nick and Brad, and they were like, dude, you like, yeah, it's cool, just fucking just ask. I'm like, dude, and they were like, you're lurking, Lurker Lou. And then, and like, if you know Brian, he's like, Lurker, and like Doug, and they just laid into me. And that was like a weekend, probably. Like, I was definitely like, I would say a junior in high school still. It was probably like late winter, early spring of like 2001. And dude, it stuck. It stuck for a while. People were calling me Hater Lou for a little while because I would just like sit at aquarium and just like blabber and talk shit. And then it just stuck. Like, fucking, my name's Lou, and I was just like coming up every weekend from Cape Cod. And whether there was a will or a way, I was just going to be able to stay with somebody, or like I wouldn't like sleep out on like the streets, like fucking people like, dude, Brian Wenning and all those people used to like sleep. It's like, yeah, we did like sleep at aquarium and shit like that, like a couple random times, but that was like out of just like joy, not like necessity. The only time I was really doing it was when I was just like, I knew Eli would be bummed. You may want to shut that sometime. When Eli would be like, you can't do that, you can't call my mom. Eli Reed would be like, he would be bummed. His cousin wouldn't be as bummed, but would be like, dude, just like ask. I'm like, dude, I don't have a cell phone. It's fucking 2000, 2001. Like, shit, I'm gonna call Eli's mom, who I actually have like a great relationship with still. She's fucking awesome. She always looked out for me. I was like, my first apartment when I graduated high school was in Eli's basement, and his mom always looked out. She'd be like, you can stay here, whatever. But I would learn, like, when she would say, you can stay here, like, don't go, like, stay in Eli's room because he's going to come home from somewhere and be bummed. But I, like, found this dude, or, like, we kind of found each other. I would always see him around. I knew him and his dude were, like, kind of, like, I was talking shit. This guy, Jad Angel. And, dude, that guy taught me a lot, like, in those, like, years in Boston. And he... From that point on, when I started clicking with him, he let me stay every weekend, no matter what. So I wasn't lurking as much, and like the name stuck. I didn't really like. It didn't bother me too much. The word was like mad trending at that time too, in like 2000. It was, oh, he's Lurker, that Lurk. Look at this dude lurking. It was just like everyone was like saying it, and it stuck. I wasn't, like I said, like I feel like I should have been like, I don't want this name, like I don't want to be this, but then it was just like, dude, everyone just called me that. So I was just like, I can't stop this. And then I embraced it probably like when like Vicious Cycle was coming out, because RB had me as like Louis Sarowski, and I was like, or it was like Lurker parentheses like Louis, he had some shit. I was like, dude, look, we were watching it, and I was like, I just want it to be Lurker Lou, and that was my decision for Vicious Cycle. And then like intermittently, like some parts, I'll just like use like my full name. I like to just like, if it's like something that I want, or the dude that's editing, if I'm not editing it, will like want to use my full name. So I try to push my full name a little bit more now, like most skaters do when they get older, like with my art shit. Like, you know, Brian / Hansen or Kevin Spanky Long. You kind of like, it's good to like let people know you have a last name.
Yeah.
So, and I'm like plan to be skateboarding as long as I can in my life. But I know that if I make it to be in my 70s, like I'm still gonna be making artwork, like whether I can't fucking nollie flip or shove it or some shit. So that's your mini bio on the name Doug and Brian, and they fucking laid it into me, dude. But you know what? I needed it, dude. I just was like, couldn't be on Cape Cod, but like also couldn't be in as many apartments with my head resting every weekend. But I didn't give a fuck, dude. I wanted to be in Boston all the time. I did not want to be on Cape Cod when I was like 16, 17, 18. It was like, no, I can't be here. Doug was definitely like a big part of Vicious Cycle, like filming it like just as much as RB, like so much, dude. Doug was like, oh my god, that dude fucking, he ate shit for us. He ate shit for Zared on like after he did that big hill bomb. Like kind of why I don't like fuck with hills was kind of after Zared did that like triple gap in Boston. Little side note, we were just like, after that, like just riding so high, like off of Zara doing that triple gap that he did at the end of his cycle, and Doug filming it on a cruiser and pushing down that hill, pushing down Waite Street. So if anyone knows like Waite Street, Doug pushed with a VX, pushed. You see it in the credits of Vicious Cycle. They show it. He fucking hits two little skidders and just wham. And then everyone was riding high. So like next couple days we were just flying around Mission Hill, like not giving a fuck. And one night there was like on the backside we wanted to do this hill. Me, Zeb, and Zared and Doug went there, and fucking Zared was trying to film some like quick little like line, and Zeb and I were like bombing the hill. And it was dark, the street lights were out at the bottom, and like it was just like a bunch of leaves piled up, and it looked like it would go into like just like kind of like woods or like grass, but then there was no street lights, so we couldn't see the wrought iron fence. And dude, we just bombed this hill to a teed off shit, and just, dude, like wrought iron fence, like to my face, like me and Zeb were like, like dark, pitch black, just pitch black. You like think you're running out of a hill bomb. And then that night, Zared knocked off the fisheye off of the camera, and then we just watched it roll down fucking Mission Hill like a quarter, dude. And I was like, and me and Zeb were up at the top of the hill, like, fuck this shit. Like, we're down. We're like, dude, this shit's wet. My knee, I hit my knee. And they were like, the wrought iron fence was like the square ones, and it was like at the diamond. So, like, the fucking thing was facing out and just like lying on my face. And Doug ate shit. And I was like, fuck hills, dude. Like,
You didn't split your face open?
no, dude. It was just like a little. It was like a little blue, and then Zeb. I think we were just like, dude. We like hit like our bodies essentially just hit like two of the like rods in the fence, and dude, we were whacked out after that. Just laying in the leaves, like in the dark. Like I'm like, are you okay? Are you okay? I'm okay. And that was right at that same time, like around when I got the name, when Zara did Wade Street, and when I was like, fuck hills. And we just were too psyched. When you get too psyched, it's like you get fucked up on hills. But if you know how to fall, it was just a random situation. But after that, I've never even like been into it. But we were so about it at that time in our lives. Like Wade Street was like possible for Zara to do, like because of his size and his weight. Like, not the name of the street, but like Donnie, Barley, Ricky Oyola, whoever else had ollied the double gap at Wade Street. And you watch like Ricky Oyola in maybe Static or no, it was the New Deal video. He like does it in that, or I think it was maybe Donnie did it in Static, and then Ricky did it in the New Deal, and he like throws his hand like that when he gets to the bottom of the hill because Ricky wanted to snap up and do it. But like none of those guys could do it. I think they were like so big, and at that time Zared was just like this little fucking bullet, dude, and he just and barely snapped up that curb and barely snapped that gap, and that gap is like fucking big, dude. And yeah, that was like all at that same time in those years, and hills are scary. I'll leave it at that. Those are some good formative years for myself and like us and Zared and Zeb and Eli and all that whole crew. We were like having a blast back then before New York.
Were you from a small town in Cape Cod? Because we were just talking about like you didn't want to talk about Cape Cod really, but I truly don't know much of your...
they're all like, dude, they're all like, unless you're from like Barnstable, which like Hyannis is there, which is like the main like hub where the airport is, where the mall is. Like they're all like small. So like, yeah, like, I mean, dude, yeah, I mean, the town that I'm from, Dennis, and I'm from the village of Dennisport, is like, yeah, it's fucking small. Definitely, like, you go to the grocery store, you know the deal. Everyone knows the deal when you go to the grocery store, dude. The grocery store is the reunion of like all walks of life, dude. Like that kid that used to skate, or that teacher I had, or like, so.
I know everything about Dennisport because that's the only place I used to go visit with my parents.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, people will now more often when I would say Dennisport when I was like younger, moving here, people would be like, oh, like I don't know, Wellfleet or, you know, P-Town or
Chatham.
Hyannis or Chatham, yeah. And now people are more knowing. It's definitely changed, dude. It got Williamsburg for sure. It was like, honestly, like I know this sounds crazy to like anybody out there, like, oh, Cape Cod, like ghetto, like it's shitty, like, dude, there's weird transient people that come there and just like linger around on Cape Cod. Like Hyannis is like sketchy, and drugs there, and everyone knows like there's issues there, and like my town in Dennisport was kind of gross for a little while, dude. It was, and now it's like got like fucking yoga studio. It's got like the like nice coffee spot, the organic food spot, dude. Like Tom Brady shopped there like last summer. They like closed it down for him, and it's definitely getting nicer and more of like people that had summer homes that are now like in their 60s and 70s that are like, oh, we want to live here full time. And but it's changed, but like, yeah, there's definitely people that are there's more people living there than when I was a kid, for sure. But yeah, dude, dead. If anyone grew up on a beach town on the East Coast, it's the same thing, dude. It's Labor Day, maybe even before that, it's dead. Like, and in the summer, everyone just complains. Like, you make money from the tourists. You're a waiter, waitress. You landscape, you fish, whatever. All your income is basically based off of tourism, and everyone's miserable. Like, fucking traffic or this, and everyone's just like, it's so Massachusetts to just like be like that and just complain and bitch about it. But I think it's hilarious now when I go back, because I drive my car, which has New York tags, and like, to my sister and my mom, my dad complain about traffic. And I'm like, dude, you guys are fucking killing me right now. Like, stop it. Like, with the traffic, like, it's there's so many little side cuts on the Cape, but it's small. And then my town, like, the two kids I grew up skating with, like, that I started with, was this kid Jay Perna, who's still like relatively, like, he doesn't skate, but he's like knows about it. If you were like, he like follows, I see his Instagram, he like follows skating and shit. And this kid Chris Mayer, and they were in 8th grade and I was in 6th grade. I started 9/5/95 was the day I got my first board, Tree Fort. And fucking thing was like, I think it was like $85 for like a whole setup with the ventures, 45 millimeters, Tree Fort blank. It was orange. And then these dudes were like 2 years older than me, and they were skating like, they were not, Jay had been skating since he was like 10, but like pushed Mongo and could like ollie super high. And then Chris had just started the same time I did, but Chris and I were friends like for a couple years prior to. My brother was friends with his older brother, but Chris and Jay were like the kind of like the older kids that were like, would smack me around like, yo, fucking Sarowski, blah, blah, blah. And like, I basically grew up skating with older kids like the first like 2 years, and then they fizzled. Jay and I went to the same high school. Like, later, I went to the high school that he went to, but like, Chris quit. But dude, myself and this kid Chris Mayer, who passed away, rest in peace, heroin, he fucking was just as good as me. Like, when we were kids, like, he was 2 years older than me, and then he got to high school, and like most kids get to high school, they're like, they don't care about skating. You see like weed, girls, drinking,
car,
like, ding ding, car, like they just drop like flies in high school, like everyone. So a skate park got built in the next town in Harwich, and then I started linking with other kids in this Harwich town, and they were cool. And then at a contest, like in 8th grade, is when I met Zared in Harwich, and my dad lived in Harwich when my parents split up. So I was like going to that a lot. But dude, they're all small towns, and in the summer you just get rando tourist kids that come around, and you meet like, dude, I met kids in the summer, tourist kids that I'm still friends with to this day, like, that don't skate that much anymore, but we met at a skate park when I was like 11. Like, dude, you're the first kid I met. You're the first person I met from California. Like, pen pals. Me and this dude John Gregg, still friends. John Gregg, fucking pen pals, dude. Back, and then because I was like, dude, California, I never met anyone. Tell me everything. And he was from San Luis Obispo, where like Scarecrow Skateboards was out of. So he knew pro skaters and shit. And I was just like, this is crazy, dude. He knew so much. Like, he was so in touch with like how skating was in California, and I was like fucking 13. Like, dude, I know everything about everything in skating. 4-on-1. Like, blah. I was just like kind of chewing his ear off. I think he's like a year older than me, and the exposure was like lightweight on Cape Cod, but from there, like, I met people. Zared and I linked. The skate shop, like boarding house, started like supporting us a lot more, and like just like hooking it up. Like, oh, here's a board, here's this, and then we pivoted to Skater Island, like from like the weaning down. The skate parks were getting older on the Cape, and then Zared and I and a lot of people were like, just like a lot of dudes, like the classic high school, more people dropping like flies from skating. So. And a lot of the older dudes were driving to Skater Island and letting us roll, or Zared's mom would drive us, or the dudes that Zared and I were skating with, this kid, Phil Harwood, and then this other kid, Brendan, we called him Pedro. We were just whipped there on the regs. Dude got 140 mile an hour speeding ticket driving back from Skater Island one time. 140 miles an hour. I was in a car when I was 17 with my friend going 140 back from Skater Island. We got pulled over. Dude, the cop, we thought he was going to break the window with his mag light. He was so fucking pissed, dude. Wham, wham. Like, dude, I'd never seen a window, like, other than when I broke a car window on a photo shoot, like, seen someone hit a window so hard and it didn't break. And I was just like, holy shit, like, in shotgun. Dude just, like, sunned us so hard. Ticket was like $475 or some shit. He got his license taken away, so I was like, well, new person to go to Skate Around with. Who's around? Who's driving? It was a lot of like begging to go to Skate Around with dudes, like getting a ride to Hyannis to get a ride with dudes from the boarding house, or a lot of just like lingering at boarding house. Like, should I take the bus to Boston? Should I go to Skate Around? It's cold out, you know? Like, just trying to get out of the Cape a lot at like 16 pretty much. And that era of Skater Island, man, that was a special time. We went to 8 Ball, which was like, had a shop, Concrete Wave. And then there was also like Mike Graham was like the like hometown pro there. And I didn't even know who the fuck he was. Like the first like 3 times I went there, I thought he was somebody on Menace. I thought he was like Fabian Alomar. I kept telling my friends, I was like, oh yeah, that's like Joey Surreal. Or like I was like, dude, I just thought he was like a Menace dude. It was like 98. And he was just so good. He would skate flat at 8 Ball. And if anybody knows 8 Ball Skate Park, he would skate flat on a Saturday in the winter and people would not run into him. So that's pretty fucking amazing. It's about the size of skating in here flat with 80 children filled with Masonite boogers. And Jeremy Rogers and Nate Keegan were the fucking all-stars there, dude. But, dude, Jeremy Rogers was like the fucking king booger bear at that spot, dude. That fucking kid was fucking snotted out. Nate Keegan was like a step under him as like good. Like, and Nate was younger, dude. Those kids were good. And then that park went out of business, like kind of right after Skater Island had like, I think, done their second expansion. So and then I never went to Maximus, dude. I also didn't want to go to Maximus. I was like, if I'm going to go to Boston, I should go Skate Street. And then knowing Maximus was more like tranny, like fucking those guys were like gnarly there. I was like, oh, I'll go to 8 Ball. It's like where the dudes that do nollie hard flip to fakies on the bank ramp go. Like, and then Skater Island was like a mix of the both, kind of, when it opened. So yeah, that was like from the Cape to the island, and that's how I ended up going to Boston for the first time, was with Eli. He asked me to go back with him and Joey and Ben Colin, and I was like, dude, go back to Cape Cod. It's February vacation. It was like kind of warm out, or like ride in a car to Boston with this dude that shoots photos for Skateboarder, and Jerry Pepper, who's on aesthetics, and Eli, who's like Captain fucking cool guy of Boston. Like, the kid knew fucking everybody, and he was like green lit anywhere he went. So I was like, yeah, I'm going on. And I didn't tell my mom. I think I told her. I went up there for like 4 or 5 days, and I was like, I'm at Zaird's. And then I ran out of money, and someone lent me money, and I got home, and she picked me up at the boarding house, and she never knew. And then she started like figuring out that like I wasn't going. I wasn't gonna tell her I was going to Boston. So, but Eli was always fucking showing love when I was younger. So yeah, he definitely put me on to like, this is street skating. And when I linked up with him, he was just like, dude, this is ledges. This is how you skateboard. This is how skateboarding should look like. And kind of introduced to me like more like, oh yeah, Brian Anderson's like like he's from the East Coast, amazing skateboarder. But like, dude, I had never even respected mixtape until like I got high at Vinnie Ponte's and was like, dude, these dudes are like, Harold's good. Like when you're a kid and you grow up and you watch like Rodney Mullen versus Day One Song and fucking Welcome to Hell, you're like, dude, fucking East Coast fucking sucks. And it took me getting like fucking baked out of my mind at Vinny and Steve Nardone's and being like, watched mixtape and went, I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't do that. I might be able to do that. I can't do that. I can't do that. It's like, dude, these dudes are good and this video is good. But I was like 16 when that, like, the East Coast like flipped and was like, guess what, dummy? don't be into this dumb shit in California. You should be into East Coast skating. It's still like Girl and Chocolate, but like Gino and Keenan, you know, it was like, that was Eli that definitely like kind of like, it's like, I loved Mouse and Girl and Chocolate, but it was like showing me like how to like really like, dude, these dudes are good at skating. Like Robbie Gangemi's fucking amazing. Even though that part was like short and sweet, it's just like, I guess weed really opened me up to East Coast skating, dude. Really did, yeah. Aquarium was like our main spot. Like Will Harmon and Steve Nardone and like Eli and Jeremy and myself. Maybe this kid Kevin Garabedian from Rhode Island were like the first people to like really bust in Aquarium, Long Wharf Pier. Yep. And then that was a staple for years after that. We loved that place. I still love that place. I could just go there in the evening if I was in Boston, and that would be all I would skate and just be happy.
Dude, I don't know. That ground kind of sucks now.
Dude, that ground's terrible.
It's but like
it's horrible. Dude.
I went to Suffolk for my freshman year of college in 2007 to 2008.
Yeah.
And the ground, like there was some spots where like the tile, the corners of the tile would be fucked
they
up.
Pop up.
Yeah, but you knew where to like go around and like the straight path to the manual
pad. It was
pad.
always shitty, dude. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I remember like even around City People area.
Yeah.
I think it was like Tommy
There was
Wisdom.
the old benches there too. I think it was narrower between the bench and the ledge, and then like someone had like grouted the seam on the ledge or something, I think, in that time too. And
it
like
was the ground that went along the ledge. They bondoed it.
They bondoed
so it was nice
it in
and
like
seamless.
03. Yeah. That wasn't like that when I was a kid. We used to, but it wasn't as bad. But yeah, I mean, dude, that spot was like shitty to begin with. We just liked it because it was like you're skating on the water, dude. And like I still like that. I love like a waterfront spot. I just drive up and down now in New York. I just go drive along the fucking coast of the whole entire city. Like, that's not Manhattan, you know, like with the Bronx, Queens, Throgs Neck, Whitestone. Like, it's super suburbia, but like, it's kind of sick seeing New York from so many different like coastal angles. You're like, whoa, the fucking World Trade's there, but like, I'm in the Bronx and I can see it like clearly, or like City Island, and just like, I was up there.
Do you have stories from back then?
Oh, yeah, dude. When we first started going there, we used to stay at Jeremy's house, Jeremy Rogers' house.
But wasn't he like
in
couple
Blackstone?
Oh, okay.
Dude, he was in Blackstone, so we rode the commuter rail in a lot. Like that was when like I first started going because we could stay at his house. His mom would drive us there and shit. But like I didn't know the fucking city, dude. So we would be like going to a spot and be on the red line. He would just get off every stop and then run back in the next car. And like this, like my like you know like my 6th or 7th time skating. I was like, oh, we're gonna go to Ringe. We're gonna go Ringe and Latin. Cool. Fucking dude, this guy's just getting out every stop. Just he went out. That dude, he knows it. He could go out of his way to piss people off, and he's like smart and cunning, and he knows how to like push buttons. And dude, I would like maybe work like 2 or 3 days landscaping with my dad in the week, maybe 3 to 4 or 5. I don't know, depending on the weather or whatever was happening. I didn't have that much money, dude. I'd spend on the bus ticket, spend on the fucking commuter rail or whatever. And water and 7-Eleven fucking taquitos or whatever the garbage we were eating. And then, like, I lent him money. And I know that he didn't need to be lent money, but I did. And it was, like, you know, like, Friday night in, like, financial. And he wants to get, like, a Slurpee or some shit. And there's $5. At that time, I have, like, $30 for the weekend. Like, I would roll to Boston with, like, 20, 30... 30 was a lot, 20 to 30, 25, and fucking lend him 5, and with the weekends passing on, it's like Sunday afternoon, late, and I'm like, yo, let me get that 5. I need it to get home. Like, I need it for the bus ride. And he's like, being his little shit self that he was back then, and he fucking took my gallon of water and started drinking it in front of me. And it's like me, Eli, and maybe like, dude, I almost want to say Midge 401k from Skater Island, this kid. And he was, they call him Midge. And Kevin Garabedian, might have been some like Skater Island stragglers and like 8-ball kids, this kid Red. And I fucking strangled Jeremy, dude. I straight up just fucking put my hands around his neck and just choked him till he was like fucking. And Eli was fucking scared. And these other kids were like kind of laughing but kind of scared. And Eli was officially like mad at me. Like, you kooked it. Like, you fucking kooked it. Like, that was a fucking bad move. And I'm like, I'm going to fucking kook it. I'm going to fucking kill this kid right now. Like, $5 when you're fucking like 16 and you're an hour and a half away and you have no way to get home and you've already been borrowing money randomly from like older guys to get home fucking weekly. Like, fuck out of here, you little shit. So yeah, that was like my highlight. It was highlight of one of my teenage years. I mean, he was so small. It was mean. You know, it was like I'm strangling this little like frail little kid. So, what else?
How old is he? He's like your age, right?
Yeah, a little bit younger than me, dude. Probably like not like a year and change or some shit. Like Eli and Zara, they're all like a year to year and a half, 2 years younger than me. I don't know, man. Zeb did a lot of funny, dumb things. If anyone knows Zeb, like, I don't know. Me and Eli did mushrooms for the first time together there and just fucking.
At aquarium?
No, dude. In Mission Hill. Oh my God, dude. These guys were like, I remember it being like the older guys being like, here you go. Like, we're selling you guys these. You guys got to be good about this. Like, take them slow. Dude, we split an eighth. All these guys are watching Sorry. Dude, Ali Bilal's part comes on. This kid, he couldn't manage. And it's our first trip together, and I just got Eli out of the house, and we got on the porch. He's like, I gotta go. And we're like 18 and 16. And we just went on this fucking amazing mission on Mission Hill, Palming Hills. Like, dude, when you do mushrooms for the first time as a teenager and you're skateboarding at night down hills and like, dude, we were going into 7-Eleven, like, what the fuck? This is insane. And we were in there and I didn't understand it. And the time was having these guys are laughing at us like, how's the mission? How are you guys doing? How's it going? And we were like, what? They were like, how's your quest? And I was like, what the fuck, dude? Like, what the fuck is going on? I was like, Eli, yo, we got to bounce. And like, came out of there and I was like, dude, those guys like kept asking me like, how was my quest? Like, how is the quest? And like, it was later down the line, like, it's really obvious to tell when someone's on mushrooms in a 7-Eleven. These guys knew. And they were like, we were just like fucking on a mission. It was amazing. And that was fun times. Like I hope everyone's first time on mushrooms is fun, because if not, that sucks. But yeah, we just were running amok, dude. We're just kids running around, hanging out with older guys, going to college parties when we were fucking teenagers, dude. Wiling out at college parties when we were kids. It was pretty fucking sick. But no, I passed out a lot of random places. Woke up on the street, like, fuck, dude.
On the street?
I mean, yeah, when you're like wasted and you're 16 and you're drinking like crazy and you fucking go to a house party and like, yeah. Dude, there was some wild parties back then. Even not like college house parties, just these skate parties these dudes would have. Denim and leather. I couldn't believe what happened. I was like 17, Mission Hill. Just these guys fucking threw this hugest bash, and it was like so many like first time things happened like that. And I'm like, oh, this and that and here and there. And then woke up on the street and just like, it was amazing. So I would say my highlights of those years were like fucking having older guys just like let us just do whatever we wanted, kind of. But like also like would keep us in check. It was like, that's how it was back then. Like, oh, these kids are wild, but if you're blowing it, like you're going to get called out like really quickly. Like, nope, kook, don't do that. That's stupid. So yeah, that was yeah, it was fun. I just kicked it with Eli a lot. We just were running amok, dude. It was fun.
So did you already skate with Zared?
Yeah.
Was he already getting hooked up and everything?
Yeah, he was like already like road tripping with fucking Zoo at that time. Yeah, he was out, dude. He was doing his thing, man. He was like on tour at that time, like kind of a good amount. Like he was 15, from like 15 on, like, yeah, he was kind of rolling around with those dudes for sure, big time.
So you had been skating for a couple of years at this point. At what point did you get into the arts? Because
oh, that happened after high school. Like not in high school, not like in middle school. Like you get assigned art projects and art class. Like I would always try to do things a little outside of what, the parameters were. And then we got hyped during Vicious Cycle times and made stencils. And then I made a stencil, and then we started using it a lot. And that was like, it's bullshit. We weren't really doing anything. And then we made some shirts, and I went to Miami because Forrest Kirby let me stay at his house. He was like, "You moved me out of an apartment into this house. You can stay here, and this is my art studio, and this is where you're gonna." This is going to be your room. So, like, I got a futon. Like, this is yours. I was like, oh, sick, dude. So Forrest was like, stayed at the Zoo House in New York, and then was like, come and stay with me. I did. I helped him move. That was a crazy situation in itself. He got robbed in the move, and then he gave me like a room for like, dude, seriously, like, close to 3 months on and off. I was like sleeping, living. My room was Forrest's art studio. And
in New York?
No, it's in Miami. I went to Miami in the winter of 03, 04. And this dude just was like, do whatever, just make sure it's balanced. And I stuck with that, dude. That's all he said to me. He goes, you can do whatever you want to do. But he was like, you're staying here, you should you should paint. You should do some stuff. And I was like, all right. And he just said, make sure it's balanced. Like, you're not going to like paint something, like do this big painting and then like have like that eagle in the corner and then it's a red canvas and you just got this, that doesn't look good. Like, art should be balanced. And then the older I got, I learned that life is about balance and everything should be in balance. And when things get thrown out of balance is when things get fucked up. So Forrest told me that. Just make sure everything's balanced. Just if you're gonna have paint something in that corner, paint something in this corner. You're gonna paint something there, paint something there. And Forrest basically just like told me that and just gave me free reign over his studio. So like that was 3 months, and then in April I got back. I was doing like art department set design stuff, so I was getting a lot of like materials, and then I just was like, I want to make more art. Like, I'm not, like, I left Miami and now it's like spring in New York and like I want to keep like making shit. So I just bought like a bunch of like Sketchpad, and I was just like just doing things just to make drawings and collages, and then kind of definitely stuck, like really like doing collages. So stuck with that for like a few years, and then like mistakes at work I would make, I would bring home and create stuff out of mistakes at work, like building sets. But yeah, no, Forrest Kirby straight up is the reason. I will attribute all of it, not like my sculptures now in 2019, like, oh, it's all because of Forrest. Like, no, it's not all because of Forrest. Like, he was just the one that was like, gave me the platform and was like, do this. And I kind of knew, like, I was hanging out in New York for like at that time, like now, like a year and a half, and you get to meet like artists and graffiti writers and people, and so you start to go to art shows, and you're like, oh shit, like I didn't know, dude. I also clarify this, I didn't know there was a fucking college that you could go to art for when I was in high school or in middle school.
Really? Even though Mass Art was in Mission Hill?
Dude, I didn't know that. Like, I was like, I find out about that, but I'm like, you go to art school? Like, I was like, that seems like kind of crazy. Why don't you just like
do it? Yeah.
So I was like, always like, wait, like and then I started like meeting kids in like New York that went to art school, and I always felt like somewhat out of place being around them. Just like when conversations would happen, I just be like, dude, like I just make shit, and still to this day, like I don't really like. It's like how a lot of skaters are with skate people. Like, fuck it, I don't watch shit. I don't watch any videos. I don't like it. It's like, sorry to the art world, I don't give a fuck about art. I just like making it. Like some contemporary artist that's like in the Whitney Biennial right now, like I'm not clued into. Like maybe I should be, but I don't care. No one's paying attention to me. I don't need to like pay attention. Like I get people get bummed out when they watch skate videos. Like, oh, there's fucking all these kids, so much shit, Thrasher. It's like, same shit with art. I'm like, that person is getting an exhibition in the Queens Museum for that.
I mean, yeah, sure. There's always some ludicrous types of installations from
So
whatever
art
artist.
is way worse than skating. You actually have to be good at skateboarding to get recognized, even a little piss piddly good.
Yeah.
You got to be able to like do your like little NYC ollie a bump to bar, big spin off the curb.
Yeah.
Like art is full of scammers and everyone is climbing a social ladder and it's all on like kissing ass and like playing the game and going to the parties and the galleries and like faking it like you really actually enjoy this person's silver bounce board. This guy, great show. Oh my God.
Yeah, look at this Tyvek.
Antoine, I love your work. Like, you see the comments on Instagram? That's my favorite. My artist friends' Instagram comment pages, want, need, love, dying, how much? Then no one wants to buy art or people, I don't know, dude. Art's fucking, I'm just turned off by it. I just like making things. I have an idea. I want to execute it. Like, who am I into as artists right now? Yeah, fucking, there are some that I'm into, but there'll be like 3 at a time in my life. You know what I mean?
Well, who and why at the time?
Right now, I don't know. People that I would say influence. Well, one, first off, I'm influenced by like, obviously, my childhood, teenage years, skateboarding. I try to get away from it. But artists, I definitely would say who has inspired me over the last couple years would be Shelter Sarah. Shelter Sarah. And then I got after because he is an older skater. I've known him just throughout skating in New York for like since I moved here. 02, 03, I always see him around, him and his brother. And I start seeing his brother at work, his twin brother, Ivory, who's a photographer. He shot the famous Andy Kessler pushing photo. Like he made Full Bleed. Ivory and Shelter are twins. They're from Northern California. I'd known them, especially when I got back to New York after Miami and knowing like these dudes were like artist, photographer, like they skated. They were inspiration to me just seeing like, whoa, dude, like these dudes are kind of, I see Ivory on set, see them skating. And then, you know, over time, I just got burnt out on like doing things on flat surfaces, like a canvas or a panel, or like even like a skateboard deck has like curvature to it. That's why I like doing a lot of my work on, because like, you could do something and it won't look the same. You put that on a skateboard deck, it's gonna look cooler than on a square. You know what I mean? So I could put minimalistic shit, and I just got burnt on doing flat objects, like just, and I was probably say 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago, was like, I don't want to, I would say like 2015, 2016. By 2016, I was like, I don't want to do like any of my art on skateboards anymore. Like I want to start making sculptures. And I had noticed Shelter had cast just objects like that I thought were random. But I still, you know, I don't know the importance that these objects have to him. And I found like that work like intriguing and beautiful. And I wanted to start doing it. But I was like, okay, like, you know, and when, oh, you're biting or he's biting. Nowadays, when someone fucking sends me some shit, if someone's doing something similar to me, I'm like, it's time to step it up, move on to the next. You know what I mean? And who's to say that they got it from me or whatever, but, and people have been casting objects, goddamn, for centuries, dude. Come on, you know? So I, at this point, was like, just really into like Shelter's work and reached out to him, was like, oh, can I get like somebody? He had cast a Rolex and then he had made these different Rolexes. And at the time I had a Rolex stolen from me in a burglary. It was my father's watch, and was like, fuck, dude. Well, at least my homies like got these like funny Rolex things. And then just was like, seeing Shelter's work and was like, this shit's rad. I really like it. And I want to like venture off into a direction of like casting objects. And then when I was like, I want to do sneakers, a lot of my friends who had worked for artists, sculptors and shit, they're like, don't do it, dude. It's annoying. The fabrics, the laces, like, and I was like, no, I want to do it. Like, I want to cast this Jordan 13 because at that time my back was super fucked up and I bought these 13s. And like, I don't contribute like the whole curing of my back problems to a pair of Jordans, but like they were just like a part of me in a time where I wasn't skating and I was making art. And I was like, I want to cast this Jordan because this is like, I didn't want to do skateboard art too. So I was like, this is a Jordan. It's not really too related to skating. And then totally like botched it, just like had no idea what I was doing. And then I realized like when people were telling me like, you got to do this shit. And I still like didn't think to like listen. I just wanted to rush the project. And after I did the sneaker, people were like, Daniel Arsham. You never heard of Daniel Arsham? And I'm like, Daniel Arsham. No, look, well, fuck, let me check it out. I was like, oh shit. So I found out about Daniel Arsham and then started like lightweight, like chilling with Shelter a little bit, just like talking about ideas and how this went down. Because he's like kind of in a little bit more in the art world than per se other people I hang out with. His uncle is Richard Serra, like famous sculptor that you see his work at Storm King. Mm-hmm. And like it's the large metal sculptures. That's Shelter and Ivory's uncle.
Okay.
So they're a little connected. They know a little more. And I wanted to start like linking in. So I chill with Shelter and he's like, oh yeah, like this thing that like, it was funny because like there was Shelter had been doing this for years, and Daniel Arsham had got shown how to cast things through Shelter's friend, and then they were like kind of laughing about it. Like he went and took it and fucking ran with it. Because if you know Daniel Arsham's work now, it's like all casting. Everything he does. He's got this whole like Willy Wonka fucking team. They wear these white suits, like super antiseptic, sterile type looking studio, like robotic, and he's very like, yeah, so this piece, you know. And I had met a guy years back in like an AA meeting that worked for him, and I didn't even know. So I just talked to him like, oh, he's like, I cast like 1,000 objects for Art Basel. And I'm like, what? Holy shit. This is like probably like a year before I started getting into it. And then like as I'm finding out after I did a sneaker and someone's like, oh, like Daniel Arsham. I was like, oh shit, I didn't know, fuck. And then, because it's good. That's what happens when you don't pay attention to art. You don't know what other people are doing. So when you do it, someone's like, yo, shit's been done. So that's the only reason I try to pay attention sometimes. But took intrigue to Daniel's work, and then my friend was like working for him, and then another friend of mine was working for another artist that had done a lot of casting, and they just gave me a little bit of input. They were like, do this, or like just to make sure the molds come out better. And so yeah, Shelter and Daniel Arsham were probably like the people, like you can see my work right now. It's like pretty much it's influenced by them. I'm not gonna lie. Like I like their work. I like Daniel Arsham's like large shit. He did a Porsche, like, but he's got they got the whole. He's got a nice team behind him, dude. When you're a big artist, you got a nice team. You're gonna produce like really nice work. So, and there's money involved in that whole level. But now I'm trying not to just like cast a sneaker and make it a planner, you know. You heard of Bodega Rose? Have you heard of Daniel Arsham? Like, yep, I have. So
do people hit you up often, like trying to claim that you're stealing ideas from them?
No. Just people ask me, like, have you heard of them? You know what I mean? I've kind of made it clear to people, like, not to approach me and ask me about artists that are similar to me, because usually their work isn't made out of the same inspiration and creativity that mine is. To say like why I cast sneakers is because I wouldn't really like to admit being like a sneakerhead, but yeah, dude, I got like shoes on ice in the closet, like Dunks on ice that I don't fucking wear. I got like fucking random fucking Huff shoes. And I'm like, oh, this is like a Joey Pepper model. I save it. Like I save shoes. I have ton. If you come into my house, I got mad fucking shoes. Like, but I'm also about dogging shoes out. Like there's maybe 4 pairs on ice, and the rest I just like tranche through. So like skateboard art, and then I'm like, oh, might as well work into sneaker art because it like reaches a wider expansive people. And then in like 2016, in the spring of 2016, my friend Jolene had seen what I was doing with like the Jordans, and she has a sneaker brand. She asked me to cast her sneaker that she makes and then do it as a planter. So that was like where that had started, was through me and Jolene. And I have like a crazy landscape background. I grew up doing that shit. And my whole family, my sister, my mom, my dad, my brother, all in the landscape horticulture. So Jolene was like, "Can we do planters?" And I'm like, "Totally." So I figured out how to do it, and that was 3 years ago. And that was like a fun project. But from there is when, people were like, "Dude, you seen that one? You seen that one?" And I'm like, "Yeah, no, I know," but I was kind of like, not to say did it first, but definitely brought the like cast sneaker as a planter to people, and it got people fucking took it and ran with it. Like, it's fucking clear, and a lot of people know it. But I now, that Adidas will be the last. I'm not doing. If someone requests, it's like a cardboard, like my baseball card collage. Someone special requests something, and will pay me, I'll do it. But like, it's annoying and shit's blown out. I'm more into. I want to do more things that are electronics, tools that are involved in my life, and like the VX now. It's more about taking my sculptures and taking other like factory formed, like almost like a conveyor belt, like boom, we're just cranking out these molds of like a Jesus, and then incorporating my sculptures into these religious sculptures, and like casting more objects that are personal to me. You have to, if you want to get into that medium of artwork, of casting and mold making, and I like, don't just be like, "Oh dude, this like roll of stretch wrap is so sick," right? Like, imagine if like I made them all of that and I cast that. That would be cool. Like, why? Do you work for like a messaging company? Do you work in like in a factory? Do you wrap boxes all day, and like at night you're an artist, or on the weekend you're like why? "Oh, I don't know. I just thought it'd like be cool because it's like Home Depot art or something." Like, fuck out of here, dude. Like, and then people, "Oh, how'd you do it? How'd you do it?" Dude, you know what? I didn't ask Shelter how to do any casting. Never. I never asked Shelter how to do anything. I never asked other artists. I don't ask them. Figure it out yourself, dude. And you know what? If you're smart enough, you'll go to the University of YouTube, and it's all on there. Everything's on YouTube. You can figure out how to do anything. So casting things that are a little bit harder to cast, and then incorporating them with more iconic religious and then like neoclassic Greek and Roman sculptures, and just like mixing my contemporary castings with like old world stuff. So that's where I want to take my work right now for the next like year or so. And I figured out a style, and go with that. And then I want to get like power tool, start working like doing like power tools, because it's like how I make a living, how I afford to do all this dumb skateboard shit, how I have a company, how I pay my rent, how I feed my dogs, how I live, is by working on set. So I want to take my tools, my power tools that I've had for years,
and like highlight them.
Yeah, and like, yo, this is like, this work is made out of like, to make this, I had to have to like, this is made from this. So like, but then incorporating those into like the religious things like Jesus and the saints and other, yeah, so like mixing like some factory bought sculptures with like my shit, and then making it look like it's like proper like outdoor aging, bronzing, and giving things like a nice aged patina finish, so you can have that feel of like, oh, it's like that old Jesus or the old like Saint Francis that's there in the church, that's like Statue of Liberty green, but like it's got a fucking VX1000 on its head. So those pieces right now I've been really focused on. It's fun to like, I used to like to crank out a lot of art at once. Like, oh, I just made like 5 pieces today. Now I'm like, I'd like to take like weeks on one sculpture. Because then it just doesn't fill up my studio, and I just have this one thing, and I really care about it, and I love it, and I spent a lot of time on it. I nurtured this idea and this project. Now I'm like, that's my baby. Be like, oh, how much? It's fucking radio silence on how much. How much? I can't.
Do you sell a lot of pieces or no? Do you ever sell pieces?
Like, I got burnt on it. I just got burnt on like low ballers, and then I just got burnt on like, I don't want to like, it's more important for me to own my work right now than someone else. Like, oh, sick, I love that. Name the price, or I don't care how much, I'll pay whatever for it. And I'm like, no, it's expensive. Like, I'd rather just not sell. Like, dude, name it, name a price, just whatever. And this is like before my brain switched, and I would be like, oh, like 500. Like, damn, 500. That's kind of steep. That's kind of crazy. And then that I just went from like thinking like, damn, I've spent like not a lot, but like maybe like I've spent 1,100 on a piece before. So I'm like, dude, I've spent like over $1,000 on a piece of artwork because I really liked it. So like, that's nothing. 1,000 is fucking peanuts, dude. Like, you know what? You don't want to pay 500? That's 1,000 now. And then I just decided, like, once I started doing my larger sculptures that took me more time, and even if it didn't take more time, it was a large sculpture, like, no, dude. I'm not, like, hawking this at a fucking flea market, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not selling you something. Like, yeah, I'm not in some pristine blue chip, like, fake out fucking studio, but I'm also, like, not willing to give up my art for, like, 1,500 for that. Like, dude, I'd rather have it. I'll go work. I'll go work. Like, it's not.
Probably feels more fulfilling that way.
Yeah, but I feel more fulfilled just creating things for myself, not like, oh, I'm gonna make this so like I can fucking sell this. Like, there's a lot of people that make art just to sell it, just so like that's their thing. And like, if that was my thing, I would, be like trying to push it more, but I'm not like trying to like get like, oh, a little 500 here, a little 1,000 there. Like, I gotta like go all in and be like, shop myself around to like galleries and like smooch and kiss ass, you know what I mean? To like, or I just have to sell to like some idiot famous person that's like, dude, this shit's the shit. But people don't know how to relate to some things that I'm making from like the regular public, and skateboarders who are into art are idiots and they don't want to spend any money. And I would rather honestly give things away right now to people that I'm closely affiliated with, that really actually appreciate my art and would probably spend the money that I want on it. But I'm like, you know what, dude, take that. I know you want it. And the feeling that I get from them, how excited they are, oh, really? Oh, my God. They overrides, like, me being like, yo, yeah, I sold one of my, like, VXs. Like, and people are like, oh, how much? It's like, I did it for, like, 4. Like, why? Why are you selling your work? Why would I sell one of my sculptures that, like, that's a day at work for me? I'd rather just go to work, and I'm going to make more than that anyways, because I'm going to make more than 400 a day, and then it's going to be overtime. So I'm going to walk away from a freelance day at work between like 550 and 600. So like, unless you can match my day rate, like, then like, I'm not going to just like, it's a day of work, dude. That's a day of work. So I'm going to do the day of work, and then I'm going to do my add-on. So if you want that, that's 1,000. And that's just like where I kind of want to keep things like right now. Like,
well, isn't it interesting too how there's like, there will be the low ballers that will think 500 is crazy.
yeah.
But then if you skip ahead to being like, oh, this is like 6,000, all of a sudden people are like, the higher echelon are like, whoa, that's too cheap.
Ew.
Yeah.
5G. Dude, I tried to sell a piece to this fucking fashion stylist, dude. And he thought $5,000 was disgusting. Like, yeah, it's like,
He thought it was too cheap?
Yeah, he's like, I don't want that at my house, because like when you have like rich people over and you have a fuzzy skateboard deck on your wall and you say you spent 15,000 on it, everyone's like, "Oh my god, from who?" You know? When you have a fucking, you know, a skateboard hanging on your wall and you say you paid $250 for it as a skateboarder, people are like, "Oh, whoa, that's crazy." But like, dude, that's nothing. Like, so that's why, like, the photo I sent you today, like those sculptures, like, yeah, I want like right now $10,000 to $15,000 for that, and if I'm not going to get that, then I'm not going to sell it, and I'm keeping it because I love it. And if it's going to go anywhere, it'll go to like, oh, you can hold that at your apartment for a little bit because you fucking filmed my last video part. You know what I mean? Or like, you know, you really, really like this. Keep this in this safe corner over here. I'm going to take it to my mom's house in 4 months. Like, where those sculptures that I'm working on right now are going to start to build up to a point where like I can put them on loan with like close friends that will take care of it. But like, when work gets damaged, it gets damaged. But I like, I really just like most of my shit right now. I just need to get to my mother's house and like continue on with like basically like having like a sculpture garden thing is really like the Sarowski Foundation sculpture garden in Dennisport is really like what I want. I'm working on. I have been working on slowly. It's really just to have like a sculpture garden. So you come through privately tours, like this is this piece, this is this, like a mini Storm King, you know what I mean? Like, but in Cape Cod on my mom's property. And then hopefully the guy next door will be foreclosed on and I can knock his fucking house down, put shipping container house there. So I can have like a contemporary shipping container, tiny house, 2 of those, and then have the sculpture garden enlarged, or, you know, God forbid my mother passes away and fucking I have to figure out what to do at the house with my siblings, then figure something out. But my grand EO scheme is definitely to go back to Cape Cod, continue working on artwork after New York, per se, after skateboarding, and have like, yeah, sculpture, like where you can walk around the property and look at sculptures that are weathering outside, and you can look at arbor sculptures, things I've grown into trees, and sit down. My brother's like a beer, wine, mead crazy guy, like collaborating more with my brother as I get older. He's a stonemason, taking my concrete sneakers and concrete sculptures. My brother works with a lot of reused, like people are into like reclaimed wood and shit. My brother's into reclaimed stone. So when like cemeteries are knocking down the old fence posts and shit, like the old granite fence, he's basically just has like a crazy amount of like reclaimed granite and shit. And he builds walls for a living, and like on his side, he builds his own walls, like crazy, creative, out of control shit. So collaborating with my brother, who's a stonemason, rock sculpture, beer, winemaker, have a sculpture garden where things that are grown in the garden, he's making things with. This stone wall is made by my brother with my sculptures. Like, I think it would just be such strong work if my brother and I could collaborate more. Like, as we get older, you know, when I go back to Cape Cod, like that's really all I want right now out of like artwork. In the long run, it's not like, yo, I want to be a millionaire, I want to sell this sculpture to this famous person, like some people I know are. And it's really distasteful when I see people that I'm friends with that are like in that world, and then they just go sneak around in the art scene. Is just like such a turn off, where I'm so more into people that are just making shit and just always creating. And then like if they take off, if it takes off, people are into it, then they're gonna ride the wave. Obviously you fucking have to. But yeah, just like transitioning back, because the art world up there is like not bad. Like, people make a living off of being an artist in Cape Cod. Like,
really?
Yeah, dude.
Well, I always knew about Provincetown. Yeah. Provincetown used to be kind of like
Provincetown's
a hip spot.
Hip, dude.
Yeah.
Still hip. They got a super old arts club there from like the 1910s, from when a lot of like French painters went to Truro and Wellfleet and Provincetown, and were painting a lot of seascapes, landscape, dunes. During World War One, when people were fleeing Europe, a lot of people were coming at Cape Cod right there because it was a quick stop.
No
and
shit.
the light in Wellfleet and Truro and Eastham and that part that sticks way out into the Atlantic, a lot of early painters in the early 20th century on Cape Cod said that light represents the light in like Normandy and like coastal French countryside. So there's been thick, deep, rich art scene in that, especially the Lower Cape for over a century. And it's like that to me, that's something to look forward to. Honestly, is like being involved in the art world there in Cape Cod. Because coming back as like from there, live in New York for now like 17 since 2002. So yeah, 17 years. And go there. People respect you. It's funny, dude. Like I know a guy lived here. You go there, be like, oh man, oh wow. Like,
You earn your stripes.
You kind of earn your stripes, and like, you know, Romek.
Mm-hmm.
He's been like going up to the Cape a lot. He got involved with this like men's art club in Provincetown, and just like, dude, it's kind of rad to see like older people that are my mother's age and they're like late 60s and 70s that are still like living off of selling their work there. So it's like, that's cool, but you have to transition your work and reflect your surroundings. Like, I'm not going to be like trying to slang fucking VX 1000 sculptures like as a 50 something on Cape Cod. But my brother and I like started talking about it recently, but the dream would be that my brother and I could do something like that in my hometown, basically on my mother's property somewhere down the line, and like really just like go in. My brother got me. I mean, I attribute a lot of it to Forrest Curb. My brother was like creating art when I was a teenager, doing a lot of welding, abstract welding sculptures. And at that time I was just like, dude, this guy's fucking nuts. Like, I would call it artistic slop. My mom was like, why do you, what? I was like, that shit sucks. Like, when people just weld a bunch of crap together, that shit is artistic slop. Like Jackson Pollock shit. This is like when I'm like 15, I would like look at shit like that. Like, shit's garbage, dude. And then you get a little older. When you're like 19, you think Basquiat is like awesome. And then now that I'm like 35, I'm like, Basquiat, you guys are going to see all that? I can't. It's like the silver bounce board. Like, it's great. I love, like, I thought Basquiat was cool when I saw Downtown 81 when I was 18. But like now I can't. Like, I like look now and I'm like, oh shit, like these like classic sculptors, like, oh my, like, oh, now I'm like nerding out on the old marble, like Michelangelo shit, you know what I mean? Like that,
So,
the unfinished pieces that he has, and like marble sculptors and stone. Noguchi is like huge inspiration to me right now. Like Noguchi, just those abstract things, like I understand it more now because he could have made beautiful work, but he decided to do that. And so I want to definitely, my brother kind of clowned me pretty heavily when I was working on some stone sculptures last winter, but I'm like, you're making fun of me, but I'm yet willing to take any advice you're going to give me. Like, is my chisel wrong? Am I chiseling wrong? Do I need the fucking hammer drill? Like, you can sit there and make fun of me, but I want to know what the fuck I'm doing wrong. So stone sculpting is like the climax of where I want to like go to with art right now. So lightweight, working on that when I go home and shit. But that's just like, to me, like stone sculpting, whether it's like marble or granite, is like the pinnacle of art. Like, you can't top some of this, like the work that people have done sculpting out of stone. Like, and I understand how it's done, because when I see like a block of stone and I'm like, oh, that could be carved out. Like, you see it in the stone already. And I'm like, and I said that, and someone was like, well, yeah, that's fucking, yeah, no shit, dude. that's how all the great sculptors were. I'm like, I don't know. I just see that in there. Like, yeah, no kidding. I'm like, okay. I just like, yeah, I try to stay away from being influenced too much. I don't know. I keep my like vision straight when looking at other artists because I don't want to be like too inspired by other artists. You
And
know
then
what I mean?
replicate them almost
exactly.
subconsciously.
Yeah. So I try my best not to. So that being like not looking or museums, just shows, galleries, just I don't know. I just not into it right now in my life. Like I go to like galleries and museums. My mom's in town, but I just get a little bummed out when I see what's happening in that world and who's moving work and it's New York, so I'd rather just like see some fucking potter on Cape Cod making ceramics and be more excited and involved with that person. Just right now, that's how I feel. People change, opinions change, you know what I mean? So
Wait, so this whole time you haven't liked my art?
I mean there's people out there.
It took me mad long.
I know. I can't, you know.
The drive to Home Depot to buy this Tyvek bounce board is quite long.
Home Depot art, dude. There's a lot of Home Depot artists out there, dude. They get the fucking, like, whatever is there, and they, like, pile it together, and they put it in.
So that's a real thing?
Home Depot art, yeah. It's like people that take stretch wrap, like, and they, like, wrap shit. Like, you take, like, a pallet of bricks. You know, like how a pallet of bricks is wrapped at Home Depot is wrapped in, like, clear or white stretch wrap. And they'll wrap it in, like, perfectly in like orange stretch wrap with like one black one around it. And it'll be like the middle of a gallery in Berlin. And it'll be like, oh, it's just like very like they come from a factory town in like Denmark. So like there's major pallet distribution in the town of in Denmark. They like a colored stretch wrap because it has a texture that feels like it is something within the mindset of a human that brings out your integrity of your like.
And it's IKEA yellow.
Yeah, like IKEA, like it's like yeah, exactly. So like stacking up like 50 Home Depot buckets to the ceiling in a gallery.
Yeah,
amazing. You know what I'm saying? Home Depot art. Yeah, like industrial art or whatever. Like,
so to rewind a little bit, you were talking about like different stages in your life being into different things.
Yeah.
Could you say that you kind of have an addictive personality where like you get very stoked on one thing and then go
my God,
with it?
yeah, dude.
Because like
for like a year and a half, 2 years, I'll be gassed, and then it's just off to the next, dude.
Yeah.
I'll be psyched on something for almost 2 years, yeah.
Yeah, like obviously the shoes, I've been seeing you do this for the longest time, and it was inspired by a purple campus that you kept on buying for 2 years. Now you're on the red ones.
The red, yeah.
But then like I can see like even the tattoos on your legs that you have a fire hydrant.
Yeah.
And I know like you went to Portugal and looking on your Insta.
Oh, yeah.
You would just be trying to find all these different hydrants.
Yeah.
The same thing with Skrellies, like cellar doors. You kind of get obsessed with that and you run with it.
I fizzled on that. I fizzled on cellar doors because they're like so disrespectful, dude. They're just too disrespectful. They're too loud. I don't want to be skating someone's home. I'm not into it anymore. And I'm not into like...
Getting old, Blue.
Getting old, yes. And then cellar doors, like, that's fucking Pulio's thing. Like, Pulio can fucking have that. Or like, it's fucking those Philly dudes or some shit. Cellar door thing, like... It's cool, Coakley, Lee Berman, like it's funny, but like now I'm like so burnt on cellar doors. They're like loud, they're like unpredictable and disrespectful, and like I'll let like Pulio and like Jerry and fucking those dudes do that shit. Like I like a cellar door if it's just at the right place at the right time. Like yeah, I just got a little burnt on them. But yeah, I don't know. Hydrants, cellar doors are cool. Hydrants are cool. They're like just staple objects for skateboarding that are like important to us. Like, ooh, that hydrant, that bump, that cellar door. But like to anybody else, they're just like obligatory objects that could like mean nothing. Like a hydrant to like the normal person is like
a pain in the ass because you can't park there.
It's a pain in the ass, and like They just like don't have any. There's no acknowledgement of it. It's like dog piss and parking. That's what people think about when they think about a fire hydrant. But I think about like Day One Song, 360 Flip, or Nodis, or like those weird yellow Cali ones. Like those ones are so fucking weird to me. Like they're not anything like we have, and like we're not like whatever we have, and all over the country they're different. But then you start to see the same styles, and you learn those Pentroys and Kennedy valves and Muellers, and I know like that's a Pentroy, that's a Kennedy, that's a Mueller, and I'd still look at every single one, whether it's boring black and silver New York one or whatever. And then when you go overseas and you see them in Japan, you see them in Portugal, and you see them in Florida, and you're like, whoa, and you see them in weird sizes. They're just like, to me, it's just like, I don't know. I haven't really done a lot of tricks over hydrants, but I like them, and I like when people do tricks over them, and they look cool. And skateboarders will always appreciate a fire hydrant, even if it's painted like a fucking Dalmatian. You know what I'm saying?
Do you think that you've always been like this? Because I feel like skaters, we are very much like that. We want to like learn. We want to teach ourselves whatever we want to get good at. You did the same thing with your art, and that's what you're saying.
I just
like,
want to be good at everything I do. I know I'm not going to be like the. I knew like early that I wasn't going to be like the most amazing skateboarder. I knew I'm like good, but not like oh shit. So, I'll always be going hard with what I do right now, like with skating. Yeah, dude, I'm putting in my all into my skating right now because I don't know. I just have this like in the back of my head all the time right now with skating is that it's not going to last much longer. Like, not like I'm getting paid, like in that sense. Like, it's not going to last much longer. Like, dude, I wake up, I'm fucking really sore. I walk my dogs, I drink my coffee, I eat my oatmeal, and then I'm like, I'm not as sore. I'll wake up mornings and being like, there's no way that I'm going to skateboard today. Then the text message rolls in, Taylor, what up, Cato, skate? It's like, oh, man, all right. And then, like, within a few hours, I'm in the midst of trying some either gnarly shit or some hard shit, and my body's flowing, and I feel great. And then it's done, and I get it accomplished, and, like, the euphoria and the, like, that feeling that I get from skating is, like, overrides, like, drugs or alcohol and weed for sure. Like after I land some shit, those next like couple hours like are just like so amazing, dude. Just life is just like
you feel like you figured it out.
Yeah, it's just it feels great. And like I get that feeling with art, but it's like when I create something, I'll just sit in my studio and like look at it for a little while.
Well, do you think you ever look at it because you appreciate it, or because
dude, I love like most people watch. They get clips like they're filming or they're editing a part or they're like got their footage, their footy tape, whatever. Like back in the day, like people watch their own footage more than anyone else does. Like your video part comes on at the premiere and you try to like play it cool. Like I don't. I'm just like I'm watching my part, or whatever. But like you should be your biggest fan. Like, you should be into what you do. You shouldn't be, like, beating up on yourself. Like, oh, dude, that fucking campus came out sick. Yeah, it's all right. Like, no, it's fucking, I'm psyched on that shit. The fucking laces are crispy and the suede is detailed the fuck out. And you see everything in that shit. Yeah, I did a pretty good fucking job on it. And I'm psyched on that. Try to make that. I guarantee you're going to fuck up your shoe and waste at least $150 on silicone your first go, you little dummy. Step it up, go for it. So
well, that's what I was gonna ask. Is like, are you mostly appreciating it, or are you so much your own worst enemy that you're like looking for imperfections in it?
I mean, imperfections. I try not to like if I'm working on some shit. There's a painting I'm working on, or painting something. There's a fucking brush hair in it. Yeah, I'm gonna take out the brush hair, but like. If there's a section of the patina that didn't get it the way I wanted it and I want to get it a little bit more greener or something like that right now, I'm like, maybe it's nice to have the undulation and the holiday of this and like how things come and go. And like some of my best creations in the last couple of years have been off mistakes. Like, oh my God, I don't have enough resin to fill this mold right now to do this cast. Like, oh, I'm just going to fucking throw in all these pennies. or I'm going to throw in all these lighters. Like where I started doing like clear sculptures with objects filled in them was purely accidentally out of, I have too much resin. Let me pour this into this mold and fill it. Oh my God. That shit's going to cure in like 5 minutes, and I don't even have enough resin to fill that mold. So now that mold, that cast is half done. So I had a bunch of lighters, and I took all the lighters and I threw them in this like this quick curing clear resin. They just started fucking exploding, and I covered it, and it was just like the hot resin and the lighters. It was just like this like calamity. I was like, oh my God, like I had to put weights on it because it was like exploding resin in my studio with these lighters reacting due to the heat and the pressure.
Ooh.
And I was like, oh man, like it was literally like, I have a bunch of extra resin that's going to cure in like 5 minutes because it's quick. It was a quick cure resin, so it has a super short pot life. Pot life is from mixing to pouring. So I was like, oh my God. So I just poured it into this Nike Blazer mold with and all these lighters. The lighters are exploding. It's just making a mess. I'm like, fuck, dude. I pull it out. I'm like, this doesn't even fucking look good. This looks like shit. Fuck it. A couple days go by. I'm like, you know what? Let me take a photo and post it. It got a lot of good feedback. And posting things on the internet, like art-wise, I've definitely learned in the last couple years what I think is awesome. Sometimes, half the time, people are like, meh. And things that I'm like, meh, people are blown away by. So that's just part of like art and music, dude. You can record a track as a musician. You think it's going to be a hit or everyone's going to be into it. It's going to be the hot track. And then the shit that's the B-side that's on the back burner is fucking everyone's favorite. And like movies, Spike Jonze with Where the Wild Things Are and Her, like he thinks Her is going to flop and Where the Wild Things Are is going to fucking be the big hit. And then it comes out and it's not. And then Her is the Oscar. You know what I mean? He explained that. And it's like, that really resonated with me because it was like in that time where I like was like, oh shit, like that was a mistake. I hated it. People loved it. I started going crazy with all like my clear sculptures filled with things that I'm like really into. So these objects that resonate deeply within my life filled with things that I love. So that all started through a mistake. So that's and then I just wanted to go in with that for a while, like doing the clear things filled with people like it. It got good feedback and I liked doing it. I didn't do it for people, but once I realized people liked it and I could do it in a cleaner way rather than having exploding lighters, flinging fucking hot crystal clear, like smooth on resin at me. Like, yeah, like I'm going to take this and run with it. So
I think it's a super cool idea because it's very much adaptable to, say, if you're gifting it to someone, or say if it was like
that is insane.
A project for a brand. It's like you fill it with whatever the brand represents or what it is. Like I love the quarter snacks one.
Yeah.
I think it was very simple, but for some reason the what's the
zebra cake?
The zebra cake.
Yeah, that was a hard one to do. Food is hard to do. That one could not have any mistakes. That was a tricky one, but it was fun to do, and I held on to it for a little bit, and then I was like, dude, anytime I do anything in skateboarding in New York, Costa fucking always posts it. Like this dude Quarter Snacks has shown me love through like my art and my skateboarding since day one. So I wanted to hold on to that, and when I do the like VX show with all of them, which I'm just still like I'm not ready to do because I still have more ideas. But I gave that to Costa, and like he always appreciates and looks out for me and what I create and how I skate. And even though it can be a nightmare, the stuff I put myself through, he's like, dude, you put in your work. And the respect that Quarter Snacks has given me through like my platform as a skateboarder, and then giving me a voice in art too, like what you know he's done for me. So I had to do that. It just was like kind of, what other food am I gonna do? Like cheeseburger or pizza?
Ramen.
Ramen would be like easy because I could just throw in all the boiled ramen and kind of let it dry a little bit, and then yeah, the clear stuff's fun. Quarter Snack shows love on, anything. And that thing came out pretty good. Like the way that I could get the treats hardened and get them in there and not have bubbles or them like melt because the stuff gets hot when resin cures. So yeah, I just want to stay ahead. Like Daniel Arsham shit's all white. It's always like white stuff. He's colorblind. It's like white or off blue or like lavender. So like the sculptures that I'm really psyched on right now, I want to have like clear filled or like my like patina, like the headless sculptures I've been working on all come from like when I was a kid. My mom would buy headless sculptures from like plant nurseries or statuaries because they're cheaper. So she'd buy the headless one. If it didn't have the head or if it had the head, she'd glue it back on. So I kind of grew up around headless statues in my yard. And then that inspiration came from like that. A lot of my work just comes from like the sneaker stuff is like being in my 20s, but a lot of other work is always going to come back to being inspired from like my childhood or my yard or something like where I grew up. And I just try to like when I get an idea in my head about creating something, I put it into action as fast as I possibly can. I don't talk about it until it's done. Because when you talk about things,
you don't do them.
You don't do them.
Yeah, I like that. I think there was like a study actually recently done. It was like 68% of the time when you say you're going to do something and you start telling it to people, most of the time you're not going to do it.
Graffiti guy I fuck with, Noxer, DOD, when someone be like, oh, I'm trying to work. He's like, yeah, you ain't trying. You doing. You are. So I'd be like, oh, I'm trying to work on this sculpture. He's like, nah, you ain't trying to work on a sculpture. You are working on the sculpture. So I don't like to use the word try. I mean, there's failure, but like, oh, I'm going to try and cast this sneaker, this Jordan. No, I'm going to cast it. Like, it just feel like trying. It just seems like, you're like, I'm going to try. Like, no, I'm going to do that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to try this skateboard trick. I'm going to try to jump down this fucking sketchy bank, but I think I can do it.
Yeah.
You know? Where a lot of people who are like, oh, I have this idea. It's great. You're like, dude, you're talking about that in a bar, or like you're talking about that at this spot. Like, you're never going to, oh, I have this great idea. Well, it's not that great anymore because you just told me. So my great ideas usually stay locked up in my head and then are created and then put out to the world, like the box truck video premiere. That was very hard for me to keep my lips sealed about doing that because that's how I wanted to promote the show. But a couple people said, stop telling people about that because it's going to get stolen, and Adidas and Nike and whatever is going to do that before you. And Zara told me a long time ago to keep my mouth shut about my ideas. And it took me a long time to do that. But it definitely pays off when you don't talk about what you're doing and then you just do it and people see it and they're like, oh, shit. And I tell people that I'm close with, like, I'll tell you guys, like, that's not in my like really tight immediate circle, but people that I fuck with have like, oh, I'm working on this or this is the next project. But for the most part, like, no, I'm not trying to, like, harp out there on the streets being like, this, like, yeah, I told you about, like, my, like, merging religious sculptures with my sculptures because I've already been doing that. People have seen it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, like, the next shit, like, stone sculpting, I may just throw you off. I may not even be stone sculpting. You may think I'm stone sculpting, but I'm actually doing metal work. But I'm actually not doing metal work. I'm doing like ephemeral Andy Goldsworthy work and just photographing it like da-da-da-da-da. Andy Goldsworthy, that's another artist that I've always been inspired by. His nature work, it's ephemeral, and those pieces are all his work I've always really liked. But stay ahead of the curve is what I try to.
No, I feel that. Yeah. Funny you say that because that mentality helped me stop drinking because I used to always say like I want to try this, I want to try that.
Yeah,
but that's then 6 years later, and then you're like, yeah, I'll do it tomorrow. Yeah. I will do it, but then you're too hungover to even function and get out of bed. Yeah, you definitely don't do shit.
I got a friend that just quit drinking like 4 months ago, and someone had told me that he quit drinking. Like, oh, yeah, he's not drinking. I was like,
long time drinker.
Oh, he loves to booze, and then I fucking was chilling with him, and pretty average, like say like once a week, twice a week, and just I don't go out, I don't drink, so I don't notice that he's not drinking because I don't drink and I'm not going out. And then someone told me that, and I was like, didn't believe him, and then he told me, and I was like, damn. He's like, yeah, I'm not gonna like go out there and talk about it. I'm just gonna, it's not easy, but I'm doing it. Like it's just easier to like do it than to talk about it. So, yeah, I think I just learned from like being in my early 20s, like talking a lot about things that I like want to do, or just like doing them and then talking to people about them, and then just people being like, that's a great idea, I'm going to go do that. And I have the platform to progress this idea to a larger level than you because I'm a creative director at Vans, or I work for this, or I do this. So it's more about just getting it done, getting it out there. So when it does get ripped off, everyone knows that
it was ripped off of you.
Yeah. That's been the goal. So as long as like I can create things and then people are like, oh my God, they bid it. I'm like, I don't care, dude. I'm off to the next, dude. You want to go fucking take this sculpture and stick some fucking shit on it? Go for it, because I'm going to be off to the next after that. Like when I see someone that's trying to replicate work that's close to me, I just move on. I just have to like go off to the next. Like, or people ask me, oh, how'd you do that? When I get the how'd you do that, that means it's time to move on, because people are like inquisitive and are like,
they're on to
how'd you do it means I want to do it. Mm-hmm. Like, how'd you do that fakey hard flip? Because I want to do it, How'd you do that? That's what I would never step over those boundaries with people like Shelter and Daniel Arshram and Andy Goldsworthy and whoever else. Noguchi's dead, but how'd you do that? Dude, figure it out on your own. Like I just I just don't respond to anymore. I just don't respond. Like I'd say in the past 10, 12 years ago, I'd get angry when people would be like doing things close to my work. Now I just don't respond. I just don't acknowledge. I'm like, oh, you're doing sneaker planners? Cool. I'm off to the next. I don't care about your work. You can go and be that thing, and that's fine, because my work will keep elevating and keep progressing. But I do, like, it's like how I skate. Like, I try this super hard trick. I get it. I film it. I'm done. I'm not going to... Maybe in like 6 years or 10 years, I'll jump back and do it again. But most of the time, it's like it's off to the next. It's just like... work on this, get obsessed like that, move on, off to the next. And then, that's, dude, you've observed it, but I probably have been like that since a child. Baseball cards. I love baseball cards. I love starting lineups. I love baseball cards. I love starting lineups. Like, that shit's whack. Skateboard videos, VHSs for days. And then when that collection grew too big, and then your VCR is pretty much useless, and then it's off to New York. And then that's when I got into like art and other things. So yeah, I get like that. I don't look for things to obsess over. They usually just
they find you.
They find me. A lot of things find me like early in the morning, laying in bed. Not early, but laying in bed, I'll just be like, oh, that could be done. Execute quickly is my main objective in my life right now. It's like, oh, we found this spot. Like, oh, we'll go back to it. No, dude, like, we're going now. It's 5:30. It's going to take us 35 minutes to get there. There's 2.5 hours of sunlight after that. Let's go. Come on, dude. What are you going to sit at fucking Blue Park all day? Let's get in the whip, dude. Let's go out to Flushing. Oh, the fountain's on. Okay, we'll go to Hillcrest. SATs. All right, we'll go here. Don't live your life in like one skate spot, I feel like. I know like you're a Borough Hall dude. I'm a Blue Courts basketball Chauncey Ledge guy, but you can't always be that. You always have to like go and explore. And I feel New York has definitely become like a trapped out. Like people used to think Tompkins was a trap. Guess what? Now you have 25 Tompkinses. Tompkinses now. It's people don't skate anything anymore. I don't have to worry about anyone finding my spots because nobody skates them.
Yeah.
People that want the spot, like, yo, where is this? Like, if you're watching this and you have sent me that message, This is my face when I see it. You used to skate with me like 10 years ago. I met you at Cooper Park when I still went to skate park, some shit. And you're like, yo, sick, where is it? I'm like this, like, I'll actually screenshot that shit and send it to the motherfuckers I was skating with that day just to like show them that everyone wants to skate our shit. And they won't because their whole story is at Blue Park because they were like, well, I had to go to dinner with my girl's mom. And then like, oh, I want to go skate with you, but like I got something to do at like 5. Like, nah, you're not getting in my car because we're going till the sun goes down.
Right.
So
I feel like myself and a lot of people around my age group, whatever, we used to be those rats, but then we got a little too comfortable and a little too into like the, I guess, bougier per se, the lifestyle of living in New York City, being a skateboarder,
that happens.
you know?
Yeah. You like expensive dinners. You want to have a nice apartment.
Yeah, which I mean,
dude,
like,
I make things very difficult for myself. I want to make this clear to everybody out there. I make things very difficult for myself skateboarding in New York.
To me, it seems almost like because I think especially once I turned 30, or maybe it was like even 25, and then like I quit drinking a couple of years later. But I feel like around that time there was a sense of mortality, and especially after I got a 9 to 5. Well, that's what I was gonna say a second ago.
You know
that's
that
why I started.
Life. That's like why I skate as hard as I can. Like I don't know if I'm gonna die from a lightning strike on the way over here, but I'm not gonna hide under a roll gate and not walk over here to do this interview. Respect. But like, dude, I could die tomorrow, and that's why every day I try to create and go out and skate and create, dude, as corny as that sounds, because when it's all said and done, those who are my friends can take a look back at my life and say, like, he worked really hard at what he did, and I just took advantage of my time and went out of my way to, like, produce work that's different, progressive, and like, oh, well, you know, like he did it, like just like did my thing. Like I don't want to like let life pass with just like, oh shit, I wish I did that. Like, oh, when you like wishing you did something, like buyer's remorse, but just on like life shit, you're like, fuck, dude, I wish I didn't say that, or I wish I did this. And like, the older you get, the more you realize that shit starts to happen. So you take advantage of like, oh, I'm kind of broke, but these dudes are going on a skate trip to like this place. Like, I'm going to go there. I'm going to be broke when I get back, but I should just go because it'll be fun and it's going to be worth it. And like, I could die on the plane ride there on the way back. Yeah, like mortality. It's like, sorry to sound so depressing about any of that, but I act the way I do on a skateboard, or not act. I am the way I am right now on a skateboard, as per se when I was like 26, 27, 25, like mad lazy and fat and drinking and not motivated and didn't really, and was like bitter because I felt skateboarding owed me something, and that's a fucking bad attitude to have.
Yeah.
For anybody. So I got older and realized life is very, 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 very short, and it's gonna be gone before we know it. And when it's gone, I want people to look back and go like, damn, fucking dude did his fucking thing really hard, and I did it for me so I can have my legacy, essentially. Like,
that's just was
like I have like my legacy, like I wanted, and while I'm alive still, like, you know, I don't want to create and skate things that are like questionable, dude. Like I feel like I did that. Like when you like get in the phase where you're like, oh, it was chill, I let it, like that was a chill trick. Like, nah, it wasn't chill. Kick that shit. That's out of your part. Get that out of your part. That shouldn't be there. Like when I see kids like that I hook up, that I give boards to, Phil Rodriguez or Daniel Stone or Kennedy or Corey, and I see them and they land a trick that was like kind of sketchy or hard, and they didn't land it that good, I'll just be straight up like, no, do it again, dude. Do it again, because you're gonna regret. You're not gonna be psyched. Like, no one's ever psyched on the sketchy trick in their part.
Yeah.
Like, that was landed kind of whatever, and they needed filler. Like, you're never psyched on that. No one's ever psyched on their filler piece that they created in the art world. You can relate to the same thing, art and skating, but like, oh, I just like cranked this out because I was like needed something. Like, yeah, well, it's not good work.
Well, I feel like in life period, a lot of people just
do that.
They do filler.
They just live their life.
Yeah.
Like,
And that's what I was gonna say. Like when you talked about legacy, I was just about to say, I feel like
people don't have legacies.
Yeah, like a lot of people don't. A lot of people might want to have a legacy, but there's so many people that won't act on it. They won't try to like build up a legacy of their own.
It's easier to like sit at home and fucking
just being neutral,
watch Netflix, or like it's easy to do nothing.
Yeah,
dude, it's easy to do nothing, dude. Stupid people have it so easy.
Yeah,
smart people have it tough. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, just think how much harder a smart person's life is than a stupid person. Like, you're stupid, just like oblivious to everything. You just walk through life. You're like, oh, that shit's sick. Like, yo, the mic is fuzzy. Like, yo, it's crazy. I want the lights. Where the smart person's like, oh man, these lights are on. Okay, this interview's going. Oh, I need to get my point across here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and you can walk through life where you don't really like, you're oblivious and you don't care, and your life is kind of easier. I mean, you're not all wrapped up here, but you're just gonna be like, coast through it. I don't know.
Yeah.
And
well,
like,
do you listen to other podcasts like Joe Rogan, for example?
Occasionally. I just like feel like he's so like bipartisan with guests that it's like, I'm into Trump. Oh yeah, no, I like that you're into Trump. And he's like, the next person's like, I'm a yoga enthusiast who's like lived in the Himalayas and lived off of like yak milk. He's like, I love yak milk. Like, I'm like, dude, have your own. I know he has his own opinion, but his own opinion is like fucking MMA.
Well, yeah, I mean, he gets it across for the most part.
But I listen to podcasts like in the winter more, in the spring and fall less, and in the summer once it gets hot more because I'm at the beach a lot. I'm not skating in the heat, so I'm at the beach like cranking.
Or you're driving to the beach.
Driving to the beach, and then I have Bluetooth headphones like big Muscas that I just throw on at the beach and just put my fucking phone on, and I'll like crank through podcasts like basic shit, and then I'll dig around and try to find some other ones. But
well, the point I was gonna say is he had Elon Musk on a couple months ago.
Yeah, I listened to that. Was the last one I listened to.
Okay, remember the part where he talks about? Cause Joe Rogan was like, "Oh, it must be sick to be you. Like, were you always a smart?" He was like, "Dude,
it's not.
You have no idea. Like, there's just so much shit bouncing around his head."
Think about people that graduate from like Harvard and they go to Cambridge and they go to Oxford and then they become doctors. Like, dude, that's so hard. And compared to the guy that just like dropped out of high school and works for the town, like paving, and just drinks beer and watches the Patriots and has his 2 daughters and his wife, and they fucking go to the Sox game, and they he paves roads and she works at Stop and Shop. Like, they have the easy life.
Yeah.
They have the fucking, they're like, oh, I don't know. I fucking, you know what I mean? Like, well, I saw your father, and the toughest thing that you cancer, you know, like death will be the hardest thing that some people will have in their lives because they just coast through it. I mean, like, I don't want to say this, but like my sister is like definitely like works for my mom, works for my dad, lives with my mom, doesn't pay bills, like just like lives in tennis sports, just like, I'm 40? Well, how did this happen? Well, by sitting around doing nothing. Like, fucking life is quick, man. Teenagers don't know it because fucking you're a kid and your childhood drags on. Like,
a day feels like a year.
Oh my God, dude.
Whereas nowadays, a year is like a day.
Life is short, and like I did a trick fucking a couple months ago in Portugal, and I was like just riding high, and I was like, dude, I can die. If I died, I can die happy for the next 6 months. And everyone started laughing. I'm like, because in 6 months I'm gonna have to accomplish another goal. I'm gonna have to satisfy myself by landing another trick that was just as hard as that took me 7 hours to do. So, and then the ride away was this exuberant fucking exhale of euphoric feeling that I was just like, oh my God, Portugal, life, you're my friends, everything's good.
Did you cry?
I can die happy for 6 months. I didn't cry, but I can die happy for 6 months. So I got February, March, April, May, June. So if I die in July, I'm going to be fucking miserable. I'll be pissed. I'll be like, fuck, I had more shit I wanted to do. But right now, I'm like, okay, cool. I'm okay with dying right now.
When was the last time you cried tears of joy?
Tears of joy? I don't know. Tears of joy. I get like choked up, like just I get proud of people, I guess you say, like my friends. Like I get really like proud. Like I was really proud of Taylor Naraki recently. And then that all fell apart. So then I couldn't be proud of him anymore. And then
was it like skate related?
I've always been like proud of Zared. I'll get choked up when I think about like, because Zared he's been such a part of my life for so long, and to see like how much he's accomplished in his life, I get choked up about that. Because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here, like in the position that I'm in. He brought me to New York, you know what I mean? So I'll always get choked up because our friendship, even though we don't hang out every day all the time like we used to, we're still just like
forever bond.
Forever, they'll always be like that. So I get choked up like when I get proud of my friends for like accomplishing things that I know they worked really hard for. Like I'm like, dude, I'm so fucking proud of you, dude. Like,
never on yourself though?
On myself? No. Like, I'm like, no, because I'm always off to the next, dude. I'm not like, it's when someone I see like a comment like, Zared got a Trans World part, even though it was a video that didn't matter. Or like Taylor's Spirit Quest part, he went pro like at the fucking video. I was so proud of like Taylor at that point. Or like, when my friends accomplish things with what they're good at, that they poured their blood, sweat, not their tears, but my tears went into it. Like people, I was like, when I talk about like my video, like my purple shoe part and like that art show, I was like, it's a lot of blood, sweat, and no tears, because I didn't cry slamming. I didn't cry when I created something. I didn't cry out of landing a trick. I've cried in years past over not getting a trick. Like I've actually been like, oh, fucking. But nowadays, no, just blood and sweat. No tears out of like tears of joy. Like, I can't believe this is happening. I like tears of joy out of like
friends.
Yeah, people.
Well, I just feel like
my friends' accomplishments or like things like that.
Yeah,
you know?
I just feel like the older I get, and on the same topic of mortality, the more I have that much more appreciation for accolades in my life, for the people around me, similar to you.
Yeah.
Like last Monday, I cried tears of joy. That's probably the first time in like, I don't know how long.
Yeah.
But I cried tears of joy because it was like a year dead sober.
Yeah.
And it's so fucking corny, maybe a little materialistic, but whatever.
Yeah.
Always thought it'd be super sick to like have a convertible.
And you got one.
You
have a nice car.
I have a convertible. I'm like financially stable. My parents are good. I have a beautiful girlfriend.
Yeah.
And I'm a year sober, and I'm doing all these things. Yeah. I think it was like,
you're grateful.
Yeah.
Because people can be ungrateful. It happens all day, every day, all over this town. Like, dude, I am so lucky, like myself, so lucky to have my parents still alive, so lucky to still be skateboarding, so lucky to get smart enough to quit drinking. I wish I did it earlier. And not to say like, you know, if you drink and you like drinking, you skate and you're 35 and you're ripping, like that's awesome. Like I couldn't do that, but like, yeah, there's like proud moments with that. You know, real tears of joy. I can remember now that it took me a second when I got my driver's license, because I didn't get my driver's license until I was almost 31. And I got my driver's license. I remember when I was like maybe in 8th grade, my mom and I were going to see my aunt a lot. We were driving off Cape a lot. And she hated driving. My mom hated driving, and she would always be like the overly concerned mother, like, no, stop, if I was like driving with my permit. And we were driving to go see my aunt, and it was just downpouring, like gnarly. My mom was like so scared to drive. She like could not drive in like the rain. She was just like not losing her mind, but she was just like super scared. And then I took we like me and my mom were always getting perpetually caught in these like rainstorms, like going to my aunt's. Then June 14th, 2014, 7 years after my aunt passed away, I fucking got my driver's license on her birthday.
Damn.
And it was like I drove to Long Island to do my test in like a horrific downpour on like the Jackie Robinson Parkway. And it was just like, that highway's crazy if anyone knows it. And it's pouring rain and I'm going to get my driver's license and I hadn't really been driving. And I always had a weird take on driving when I was younger. And I was like, I'm going to drive out there. My wife was like, I'll drive and then you just take the course. And I wanted to drive out there. And when I got home, and I passed the test because I had failed the test and it took me years to get my license. And then I get it. I was like just so psyched. And I was almost like thinking of like my aunt and all those times that we drove to go see her and like that accomplishment because like it wasn't really that hard to do. But it was hard for me to get my license to like go to the DMV, get the permit, take the course, do the this, do the that, do the permit. And like I did it all in New York City at 30 years old. Like that shit sucks. Like fucking is horrible, dude. Like learning how to drive at 29, 30 years old in New York City was miserable. And when I got my license, yeah, I got home and later I was just like thinking about my aunt and thinking about just like, fuck, dude, I've wanted this fucking thing for so long, and I was just too lazy and talk about it. Like, oh, I'll get it, until you just like had to do it. So that's the true like last time, like I actually was like fucking crying. Like this is it's.
That's sweet, yeah. It's like little moments like that that'll just like will strike a nerve, and it just like all comes pouring.
Yeah, drinking. 2 years after I quit drinking was like I had a moment, but it wasn't like tears of joy. It was just like tears of like nobody gives a fucking shit that I quit drinking for 2 years. Nobody cares. It was my birthday. It was like my birthday. No one was hitting me up. I got sober 2 years. Like it's my birthday and my sobriety anniversary and nobody's fucking hitting me up. Oh, well, I'm not putting it out there. I'm not like, yo, Instagram, like, birthday wishes. Could you give me a like? Like, that shit's real whack. I don't like to put it out there, but that was like, I wasn't tears of joy because I didn't cry, but I was just remember sitting there being like, you know what? Fuck everybody. I just got to live my life for myself and the people that actually really do care about me, So there's like, you really only have like a handful of people that can be with you and support you through your shit. But like, yeah, drinking is fucking, I don't really get too emotional about it. I've been through so much shit like with my family and booze that like I already cried out all that shit like years ago with like my dad and everything. And like I've just been like not through hell and back, but had a bumpy road in my childhood. So I saw so much like garbage, alcoholism, lifestyles from my family that I'm like, that shit got cried out of me when I was a kid. And joy now would be if my brother and my sister quit drinking, but that'll never happen. More my sister than my brother. But I get psyched when my friends, because you can't tell anyone to stop drinking, when my friends who are like a mess and then they get their shit together, I'm like, fuck, dude. I wasn't going to say anything, but you were fucking shit. Because it happened to me 2 years after. So... like, oh, God damn, you were not looking good. So, tears of joy, tears of, what else? I like movies that are sad.
Yo, I've been crying at movies recently a lot.
I want to watch movies that make me cry. I don't want to watch a movie, I like music too, like when you're really sad or you're bummed out. Like, I'll listen to bummed out music when I'm sad because...
But I feel like everyone does that.
It brightens you up to know that other people have so
I feel like a big part of sadness is the feeling of loneliness attached to it.
Yeah.
Because no one wants to be alone.
I like being alone at any moment I can get in my life right now. I love alone, and my wife loves alone time too.
Alone time is good. Loneliness is not.
Yeah. No, because I'm like my alone time. I get like 9:30 to like 11 in the morning when I'm not working, and then like after I get done from skating and my wife gets out of work, it's like, you know, and then we're talking, and it's like then I have a little alone time when she goes to bed and I'm on the couch. But like when I'm on Cape Cod and my sister's at work and my mom's at work and I'm just by myself, I'm like, oh my God, dude, I love being alone. I always love being alone. Skating alone? Not so much. No.
That's a
I'll
different
do
beast.
it, but I don't like to skate alone. I did it so much in my life that I actually really, if I hit up the crew and the crew doesn't hit me up and no one's skating, I'm not going to go like, in the winter, I'll go skate Chauncey, but like if it's summer, I'd rather go to the beach and be by myself and like read a book and listen to a podcast. And like, I'll be more than happy if I'm not spoken to anyone all day. Like, I'll go days where I like don't care to talk to anybody. Like in the winter, just working on art. Like wake up, eat, work on art, eat, go to bed, wake up, art, eat, fucking bed. Don't call, don't text. At that time of my life, if I get lonely, I just talk to somebody that's like I haven't talked to in a while that doesn't really live in New York. I'll just like make the random call like, yo, what up? I haven't talked in a while, you know? But I like being alone. I think it's good, but I can understand when people are alone all the time. It probably drives them nuts. When you live in New York City, alone time is nice.
But even in New York, I've gone through stages where I feel very lonely. Yeah. Even amidst so many people and friends. It seems like you almost get, everyone starts to align into their routines. And unfortunately, a lot of those routines happen around the same times of the day. So it's like everyone's at work. Everyone's got girlfriends. Everyone like needs to work at 6 a.m. tomorrow. Yeah. So
I had that. It was like is that like a nervous breakdown or like a panic attack? It happened to me when I was like 21 in the winter time. Snow on the ground, can't skate, don't have any ideas to create any like art or any drawings or collages. So I'm rendered useless from skateboarding. I don't have any creative ideas. It's snowing, it's cold, and I go to the MoMA. And I'm like thinking I'm going to get inspired there. Little did that do, that fucking made me depressed. Mm-hmm. Then I get out of the museum and just like go to the Fish. No one I know is at the bar. All right, well, let me like go to this place. Like, no. It's like, that's just January in New York, dude. No one's around. A lot of people are on vacations. A lot of people aren't skating. And you have to figure it out. And I like I can't skate. I can't do this. Like,
but you were 21 though,
yeah,
right?
I was like panic attack, and it was like I was like in the back of Union Square, and I was like, and like the only thing that got me out of it was like going to Barnes and Noble and like reading a skate mag, like calm me, like kind of got me out of it. And then like I came out of it, like went back to my apartment and was like, that was fucking horrible, dude. Like, I need to occupy my time more. Like, I need to figure out, like, this or that. And then I think I bought a plane ticket, like, right after that. Like, you gotta, like, fucking get out of New York in the winter at least once. I would suggest twice, a December, January trip, and then a late February, March trip to somewhere warm. Because you will not be happy unless you're occupying your mind. I get so busy in the winter with like art shit because my work is slow and skating is on the back burner. So I have like all my ideas that have kind of been formulating since it was warm out, or I was like really focused on skating, all come into fruition throughout the winter. So I've like balanced out my life so much, and years fly by. So it's like, okay, I did this in the fall, or like skating in this in the fall, and then winter, and then plan the trips, and then spring's here, and then summer's going to be here before you know it, and then boom, the year's like already cycled around. So I've like figured out my like New York lifestyle and how winters go and how summer is and how fall is and how I like it all. Yeah. I like winter, I like summer, I like fall, I like spring. Like I don't dislike New York, and if you do dislike New York, you shouldn't be living in New York. Sad to say, if you're miserable here, please leave because you're making it worse for everybody. And then, go to LA, go to Texas, go wherever. I don't like New York, leave. I love New York. Stop making it whack. Get out of here. And if you don't have the means to get out of New York, well, then you're fucked. Go see a therapist.
Since we're on the topic of leaving New York, you had mentioned that in the future you wish to move back up to the Cape, buy a plot of land, preferably right next to your parents' house.
Yeah, but I mean, no, preferably like in Truro or like by Provincetown. But
you want to do that, and you want to build a storage container house. Where did that inspo come from? The storage container, I mean.
It's cheap. Then you get a friend who's a welder, who I don't think that would be too hard to find. And then plasma cut and just like kind of a little bit like that off the grid style where I can like kind of like live with my mom, start to build. I like I like garbage television, so I like building off the grid and like those homesteader shows. Like when the time is to leave the urban environment, it's not to move all the way out to the country, but to like, you don't need a big house, dude. You don't need a big fucking house, dude. You don't need it. Like, you get older, you learn about needs and wants, and I mean, well, right now, no, I don't want to live on Cape Cod, but like when I do, like I grew up in a really small house. Like I grew up pretty poor. I don't have a ton of money right now in my life. Like I have a nice middle income, and like I know that money doesn't make me happy. Like having a lot of it, like having a fucking financially stable, like you said, like you have a nice car, your bills are paid, like you got 5 figures in the bank account, you know, that's nice, but it doesn't, like, I don't need that. I need like my friends and creating things to like, and skateboarding to like really give me true happiness. And some of my friends and people that I fuck with are realizing that like, dude, it's not about working 9 to 5 or getting that big job with the big salary. Like maybe if you want a retirement plan, but you can have an IRA, but like you miss out on life when you work 5 days a week. And I'd rather work 2 weeks straight, work a day, have 2 days off, work 5 days, have them like 3 weeks off. Cause then I can really like indulge in like my life. And it's like being a kid and not having anything to do other than go skate with your friends. Like you can really like put in a large amount of effort and you can stay focused on the things. Like I wouldn't be able to create this art that I'm doing or skate like I am if I was like fucking like Chris Kiley or Jimmy McDonald. Kidding me? But do you know what, like, I not like to say anything bad about like skaters that work 9 to 5, but like dudes that are really good in New York that work 9 to 5s, like if they didn't work 9 to 5s, they'd be like way better at skating. And there's not that much time left in their lives to be good at skating.
Right.
James Sayers, quit your fucking job, dude.
Yeah, please.
Quit your fucking job and focus on skating.
Too good not to.
And like, it's not even, he's like, sorry to like talk shit on James Sayers during my fucking podcast, but like, I just, like maybe he wants to do that, but like, I think when you get to a point in your life and you realize like, you know, there's always those famous quotes from like rich, wealthy men and women who are on their deathbed. And they're like, I wish I didn't work so much and I hung out with my family. That's all I wanted. Like, I never watched my kids grow up. My wife hated me because I was never around. Like, where did life go? And it went by quickly. And I'm not here to have that. Like, my mom worked a freelance lifestyle and didn't work a lot so she could raise her kids pretty much. She was like, I want to be able to raise my kids. And like, my mom essentially freelance, self-employed. And I like realized like seeing the low stress lifestyle where you can work just enough where you can go on a couple vacations a year, the roof's over your head, the bills are paid, the mortgage is paid, the car's paid, the insurance is paid, and then you're like, oh my God, I broke my leg. You're still good. You still got like a little nest egg, or like, you know, I don't need a fucking ton of money, but.
Yeah, that's where my tears of joy came from, because like I have that. I have like I have the things that aren't just nice. I have things that I've wanted personally for years, and I finally work hard enough to get there. And like back to what you were saying, I've been saying this for the past like couple of years, especially after having 9 to 5s.
Yeah.
Time is so much more valuable than any amount of money you could possibly get.
Oh my God.
And on that note, like I'm literally about to plan on taking, or actually, fuck that. Fuck planning.
Yeah.
I'm going to take off July and August.
Yeah.
Just so I could like work on this show.
Yeah.
Film the mission statement. And
Dude.
have all the free time to edit it. I want to go visit my parents in Mass.
Summer's a great time to do it, man.
Yeah, like I'm going to go take a trip with my girl down south. I've never been down south, never been on a road trip because I said, no, I'm going to stay in Mass instead of going on a road trip across the country with my friends to move to SF.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, that seems like I just didn't barge it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now, like, I don't want to live with regrets.
Yeah.
But I also don't want to not pursue other avenues and other trips. And I don't want to not say fuck it to things especially when I can financially do it. I know pretty much for a fact I'll have a job when I come back, and I can hop back into.
You can figure it out. Yeah, that's the thing. I've gone on trips where I'm like, fuck, I'm pretty broke. I can barely afford to do this because I haven't been working a lot because I've been too indulging in my like, that life. But I know now, like, you can't work all the time, you can't skate all the time, you can't paint all the time. Like, life is like
balance.
It's the balance thing, and like when like people say, oh, that's gonna get put on the back burner. I was just like kind of having like a little minor panic attack one time. I was on the Cape, hadn't worked in a month, hadn't really been skating, just kind of chilling, and I was like, wait, dude, like I haven't been working. It's fucking almost September. I didn't work all this month. Like, I haven't really been skating. And, like, I was like, dude, you gotta, like, everything has to be, like, 2 things have to be on the front burner. Skateboarding or art, or work and art, or work and skateboarding. And then one of those things to get put on the back burner, So when I'm working a lot, probably come home, fuck around in my studio a little bit, but I'm not skating. Like, I'll be like, I'm going to work the next 3 weeks straight, and skateboarding can fucking kick rocks right now. Because I know after that 3 weeks is done, there's going to be 3 weeks of no work and probably no art and just skating. So just like finding the balance that don't do a month of just skating or just working. Like, when it gets to like a month of like, I just worked for a month straight, I'm like, I need like to not do this. Like, when you skate too much and you're not working, you don't appreciate skateboarding. That's why like you see like the kids that are like miserable, like the 21-year-old that's like teenage skate dreams are being crushed and he's all salty and shit and he's like, fuck everything, fucking hate this shit. It's like, well, I'm not going to tell you, and no one else is. Like, you're not going pro. You're never going to get paid off of skating. You should just skate because you're having fun. And they don't. And they're miserable. And they're still doing it. And they're fucking hating life. You know what I mean? Like, so that'll happen to skaters all types of ages. Or if they're pro and they're just miserable. So, yeah, I don't skate if I'm not feeling it and and I'm at that moment in my life, I'm not into skating, like, I'm not going to do it. Because when I'm not feeling skating and I go out, I'm just going to be
it's misery.
Miserable, and I'm going to make people miserable around me because I'm going to be like, fuck, I don't want to be here, fucking fuck this. Like, and that shit happens to kids in their like early 20s, late teens, I think. They're just like, they don't work, they're burnt, they want to skate all the time, and they realize like it's kind of sucks skateboarding like all the fucking time. Like, pro skater, 35, lost all his board sponsors, has to go get a job. Ooh, the rude awakening. Now that sucks way worse.
That's kind of coming on the forefront though, because the other day there was a part of Harold Hunter Foundation weekend. Mm-hmm. There was a panel for G-Shock.
Yeah.
And there was people like German, Lee, I believe Leland, maybe a couple other heads.
They all worked jobs.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what they were teaching the kids. They were like, yo, if you're a super diehard skater, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
If you want to like go pro, do that whole thing, great. And kudos to you for working towards it. But we strongly suggest that you pick up a hobby or find something that you're very good at, or not even good at. Just find something you like, that you fuck with.
Yeah.
And just like keep on building on that.
Yeah, because
it's
you know
always
what?
good to
like
have like a side interest.
If I was miserable doing like set design, prop styling, like art department, like fuck, I would fucking be so bummed. But I get to work with my friends who are skaters. I get to work on crazy different shoots all the time, and like I learn so much new stuff. And I take materials home, and I get paid good. Like, yeah, I can say like, yeah, I love my job. I work with a rad crew. Like I work for cool set designers. Like I try not to work for kooks or like lame people or bitchy people or fucking, and it makes life fun. But it's sad. I've seen it. I see it. I'm seeing it. The 35 to 40-year-old pro skater that turned pro when he was 16, 17 and whatever. And now like the rude awakenings happen where like you're too stupid to actually work in the industry of skateboarding, and like you can't even hold a fucking drill. Like, oof. Well, they're looking for bar backs at Black Bar. Commodore might need a bar back next January.
Yeah.
You know, like there's that shit where like, yeah, the skaters like fucking, dude, that's a rude awakening. Or they're like, oh, I got a job. I'm working at fucking doing sales at fucking Baker or S. You're like, you like, I fucking hope you like doing sales, because that shit sucks.
Yeah.
I would never want to do that. That's why my skateboard company is so fucking small, because I'm not like, hey, so how you doing here? I'm Lurker with Iron Claw Skates, ICS Worldwide. We want to sell you on our new line of product this year. Like,
but they definitely
who are
don't.
you? Lurker Lou? I saw you on 1 in a Million. You can suck my dick. Bye. And it's like, why the cold call? Or like, dude, even like pushing a brand is annoying. I'll be real. I'm sorry to anyone out there. Like pushing a brand, like you got to go all in. You got to be in the office, like Bronze in the office, pushing their brand. Bryce and Rob, all timers in the office, pushing their brand. That'll never be me, dude. I'm never going to be like, okay, I'll work on shit like 2-3 days a week for a couple hours. Like, I'm not doing that shit. Like, skateboard industry, like, no. Like, I'll do my time with a skateboard company, and when I'm happy with walking away from it, I'm going to be happy with walking away from it. And then after that, I can go like, sweet. Like, I do it because the kids that I hook up, I like their skating, and it's like an ongoing art project. And when I'm like not having fun with it, I'm definitely not going to do it. But I'll tell you this, it's not fun when a shop hits you up and they do an order, and then in another season they do another order, and then you hit them up and they don't respond. Then you wait a week and you hit them up and they don't respond. Then you're like, oh, I guess they're not into the product anymore. Like, that's fun. A new company has hype in any way, shape, or form. Oh, it's new. Oh, we'll carry it in the shop. Yeah, we did an order. We did 2 orders. Like, now you got to, like, fucking push some shit. Like, I'm not a salesman, dude. I'm not, like, being a salesman is, it's a fake job. It's like, you got to be fake. I can't be fake.
Yeah.
And that's why I can't really like progress as an artist in the art world, because I'm not fake. I feel I'm not playing the game. And that's why some people appreciate me in skateboarding, is because I'm not fake. But it's just so tough to do that lifestyle, to live that life. That's work. Being like into people's art that's not good, like going to the events. Not like you're like 21, it's like free beer. It's like you actually have to like go out and shit and like show face. Like, that's work, dude. I got 2 dogs. My wife's at home. We made dinner tonight. Like, I'm all good. You didn't do anything for me. You didn't come out to my art show. I'm not going to yours. And that's another thing that I've looked at over the last couple of years, like throughout exhibitions and video premieres. Like, didn't go to mine. I don't need to go to yours. You didn't support. Like, it's all about like supporting your friends and your people. So then, like, if you didn't go, then are they your friends and you support? No. Like, oh, I really wanted to go. Like, oh, I really wanted to go to like the Hops. Perfect example. I wanted to go to the Hops release sneaker thing at kinfolk and was like, oh, I want to go. And then I was like, I don't like Jamal Williams is not coming to my art show. I don't need to. And then I there was a little bit of regret because there was people there that I would have liked to see, but now I try to walk on that fence. Like, could it be fun? Do I have the time to do it? But most of the time, I'm just like, no, dude, that dude would never go to anything that I do. I don't care to go to his art show, or I don't care to go to his exhibition. Like, I'm not into their art, or I'm really actually not even into their skating, or that video is going to be boring as hell. Like, oh, but he's the homie. I guess he's the homie, dude. I've known that dude for like a year and 3 months. He just moved here. Yeah, he's the homie. I'll go watch his mediocre video part and act like I can fake cheer it on at this bad venue you're premiering it at. Sorry, dude. Not happening. But, yeah, I don't know. Fucking keeping it real, dude. When keeping it real goes wrong, it happens to everybody. Keeping it real goes wrong is the life chance of like the person's like, yo, laughing at you down the road. Like, I got millions and you're a broke artist on Cape Cod. I'm like, well, at least I'm happy with my yard. Are you ever going to find happiness? Because you're on your 5th wife and your 6th Lamborghini. Not really sure about that. And all your friends who are only there because of your money.
Right.
That's the true tell. That's the true tell sign. Like, my friends that I kick it with, she's her dad was like a writer, comedy writer, and like record exec and shit. And she like grew up with people just wanting to be friends with her. You know, she could read people like they want to be friends with me because they know who my dad is and shit like that. And I feel bad for people like that, almost like kids that are like, they come from somebody and people just want to be like, oh, but dude, do you know who that is? Like, that's who I stay away from. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, that's Julian Schnabel's nephew, or that's Tony Hawk's son. Like, that's the last motherfucker I want to be around, dude. That's the last person I want to be around, because anyone who's around those people, not to say like Riley Hawk is surrounded by like people like that because he's got a better head on his shoulders from what I've gathered, but some people like that shit, dude. Like being surrounded by people that are ego boosters. Like, you really want that dude hanging out with you so he can just fucking
be a yes man,
stroke your ego,
right?
You're like, I was at this bar last night and there was Dill, Bill, and B.A., and you stroked all their egos. You made Brian Anderson and Bill Strobeck feel so good, telling them how good their work was, and guess what? They don't give 2 fucks about you.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like,
fucks about you. You're just another fucking kid giving them another fucking compliment, greasing their fucking ego, dude. Not saying they have ego. I love Bill, and Brian Anderson is talented, but just like people that hang out in the scene just to like stroke egos, like, you get seen through in a nanosecond for being like that, and you can be seen through like, oh, I want you to be around me because I need someone. Don't get me wrong. I love having my friends around me who laugh at my jokes. Like, yeah, that dude, yeah, he gets it. Yeah, he laughs at my jokes, man. He makes me feel good, you know? But like, do I want someone like constantly praise me for like some trick or some sculpture? No, you're a fanboy. Like, fuck out of here, dude.
No.
Like, that world of fanning out is so disgusting to me. Everyone's human. Don't put people on pedestals. We're all human. We all made accomplishments. Like, yeah, like Larry David is hilarious. I love Curb Your Enthusiasm, but like, I work on a photo shoot with him. I'm honestly not gonna say a thing to him. And if I get in a situation that I'm close enough where it's comfortable to, be like, dude, your work is amazing. You've made me laugh for a long time. Thank you. Yeah. That's all that needs, and that is way more appreciated than like, let's take a photo.
Oh, the selfie thing. Terrible.
I got a photo. Yo, Nas is Nas. I gotta get a photo with Nas. I did a photo shoot with Nas. Everyone took their photo with Nas. I'm like, I've always liked his music. I respect him as an artist and how his career has evolved. But like, dude, I'm not gonna go try to get the selfie with Nas. Like, I actually don't feel comfortable when people want to take a photo with me. When it does happen, I'm like, don't know. Like, just,
you get a lot of those?
No. But when if it happens in Japan, it's like, arigato, yay, okay, fine. But like, no, like, I'm not saying that shit's happened to me. Like, I'm like turning down fan photos. That's not like the case. But like the way that being approached, like, yo, that shit was dope. You put in hard work. It really looked good, is more appreciated than like someone who's like fanning out. Being a fanatic or a fan is disgusting, dude. Obsessing over someone, dude. You should be only person you should be obsessing over is yourself and your own work. Like, you're like,
Yeah.
I'm focusing this whole summer on the show, mission statement. It's like, yeah, exactly, dude. You should be like, people come to my house and like, dude, it's like all your art. It's like, yeah, I like it.
You're
I
proud.
like
That's your
looking
trophies,
at
yeah.
my art. Like, I don't want to look at this guy's art, who's my friend who painted that shitty painting. Like, I'm gonna hide that somewhere here. Like, there's a reason why that painting didn't go up in my apartment that you gave me, because it sucked. So when you come to my crib and you don't see your art or your drawing or that shit hanging, is because deep down inside, I don't like your art. And I'm not going to hang it in my apartment because I don't want to look at it every day of my life. So, yeah, when I see people I give art to and they don't hang it, I'm offended. Why did you buy that off me if you're not hanging it? And like, no, dude, like, yeah, I wouldn't have fucking gave you that if I knew you were gonna fucking do that. Like, fuck out of here, dude. When someone gives me some work that I like, I make sure to, or I get home and I frame it as fast as I can, dude, and get it up, dude, because it's nice when you do that and someone does that for you. So,
Yeah.
yeah, man, I don't know, I'm rambling, you know me.
Well, let's wrap up, I guess. What do you have anything in the works right now? Anything that the world should be looking forward to?
Skate the rainbow. That's all I'm gonna like say right now, because the more I talk about it right now, I've been kind of talking about it, but like, it's with colors, it's with sneakers, it's not with Adidas. Like, it's not like they approached me like, oh, we loved that. Like, not even like, oh, yo, that shit was dope. Like, yo, let us know if you want any sneakers, like, skate program. Like, no, like, Adidas not showed me any love, and I'm still going to continue on skating the shoes that I like that aren't skate shoes, and continuing to work on video parts using their shoes, and build some artwork around my next project. But for the most part, I'll leave it at, I'm going to skate the rainbow. Color spectrum. I'm going to have my part. I'm actually going to come out at the end of my video part. I'm going to get a pro shoe on Nike. I'm going to get a pro color. I'm going to get a pro shoe on Adidas and Nike at the same time, because I'm going to come out as a gay skateboarder at the end of this next video part. And everyone's going to be like, oh my God, he's so good. He came out. He's gay. He's amazing. No, I'm just playing. I'm going to have red Adidases, orange Adidases, yellow Adidases, blue Adidases, green Adidases, purple Adidases, the Roy G. Biv part. I'm going to film an entire part and have it edited so I skate the sneakers through the color spectrum, through the rainbow.
I see.
So I start the part with the purple shoes and I end this part with the red shoes. So it starts like a couple, maybe some leftover tricks that were good that I didn't use, or I still have another pair of purple shoes. So basically two colors each shoe. So like, maybe an Easter yellow and a golden yellow. Maybe, you know, so when the part's edited through, you won't really notice, but the part will go through in the color spectrum. So with all my iPhone and HD footage, I'm going to do the red shoe Lou Instagram part with like all like legit, like good video part. Put it out probably by like summer, like end of summer. It's like I just finished up my first pair of these ones, so this is my second pair. So
talking this summer, 2019.
Yeah.
No
So I got a
shit.
video part coming out at the end of this summer that will be like iPhone and HD. It'll go direct to like Instagram, and then I'm going to be working on a VX part over like a year and a half that will be filmed. Like, it's not going to be like a 5-minute part like what I did before, because I'm going to be putting out like all these, the yellow shoe part, the orange, you know. So there's going to be a video part for Instagram for every color sneaker, and then at the end of it will be a video part that'll be all VX, and then we'll start with like purple to blue to green to yellow. So, and all filmed in the Adidas Campus 2, like how I did the purple shoe one. So that's the project right now. So have fun getting all the colors of shoes and going and skating them and putting out the part for me. And then I'm going to continue on growing things into trees. I'll be working on doing an exhibition with like all my trucks and wheels and things like cut out like fences grown into trees. And I'm going to work on that. Probably that and my VX things is like the next shows that I want to do. So I'd like to do one at the end of the summer just to like do one. And then the VX one, like Orchard's been like kind of harping at me to do a show up at the Extension Gallery up at Orchard. So I really would like to honestly do this, like all the VX sculptures and all that show, like in some place like Barcelona or like overseas or like not like LA or SF. Like honestly, I really would love to do like the VX show in like Barcelona, somewhere like the Sour Store, like FTC, or like not like trying to like push myself into a gallery with the work, but like I don't really want to do it in New York because like I can't outdo the purple thing where I did the art and the video premiere all in one. So the VX thing, I just want to make like a large amount of them, like probably like 18 that I'll show with like a bunch, with not a bunch, but like other sculptures. So yeah, just the VX show with all my VX sculptures, do a show with all, and like maybe put out a little small book, and then maybe cast some of the like the trucks I have grown into the tree, like cast those and like do a lot of that because I've been working on that stuff for over 10 years now, and I caught wind of another skateboarder trying to do it and trying to put out a book like that, so I'm going to beat him to it, and that's why I'm going to call this whole project Not on My Watch, because it ain't happening on my watch. This is my shit. This is my body of work. Everyone knows when they see anything skateboard related or things grown into trees, I'm the one who's been cutting these out and growing things in. So when I do this show, it'll be called Not on My Watch, like a knot in a tree. And then on watch, because that all takes time. Mm-hmm. So Not on My Watch is like basically trying to get that done. It would be nice to have a nice small curated show by like September. And like, you know, in New York, the weather starts getting nice again. People start coming back into town. So planning on doing like an exhibition. Yeah, like just like a quick little something just to get that work out there. Just to let you know that I was doing it before you, and I'll make sure that it comes out before your book comes out too. So just letting you know that. And then the rainbow stuff, man. Taste the rainbow, skate the rainbow, like basically a Skittle-like part, you know? So, and then that will coincide with my coming out. I'll be coming out as a homosexual. And
right.
My skateboard career will finally take off. So we'll leave it at that. So yeah, I wasn't doing any shows for a little while. I was just kind of burnt. And now, yeah, the VX and then the Not on My Watch, definitely would like to get those done next year. We'll be doing that. And then the full like Roy G. Biv rainbow part, probably not till like, you know, another like year and a half. That's all just when the filmer who's going to edit that part wants to put the video out. But then, yeah, expect a Red Shoe Lou part like July, August.
Damn.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, I got friggin' 13 tricks right now, not counting double angles. I have 13 tricks since May 4th. It's June 2nd. Jesus. Since my video part came out, I filmed 13 tricks in this shoe.
Busting ass.
Yeah, dude.
That's
and
good.
Then leaking a lot onto Instagram and then saving. I have 13 saved tricks right now.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, so I'm stoked. Yeah. 2 exhibitions and Instagram parts and then a real VX part that's going to be the rainbow part. we'll be doing that with probably John Valenti. Probably, I say, because I don't know. He doesn't really come skate with me that much, so I don't know. I say I'd like to do it with him if he came and skated with me. So.